it was about the dogs. Nah, it's about power. Yeah. Put up to the specialty, sunrise on the ground. Dogs in the groomer tents, whispers all around. Catalog smiles with the tension in the air. Every handshake got a hidden little snare. Board in the back room, running quiet little schemes. Bylaws in the pocket like a stack of poker dreams. Slayers for the breed, but they guarding their throne. If you question anything, they coming for your bone. Grievance in the envelope, certified mail. Club just a system, but the deck.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. If you've been here before, if you're new, welcome. So today I'm going to do a reaction to Armin Winkler. Like I said, on Tuesday, I was going to do a reaction to Armin talking about Dobermans and some other stuff when he did a sit down with Joe. Sorry, I was just watching some stuff on IG. So I thought I would do a reaction to that and see how that goes. I haven't watched it, so it will be a live reaction. But it was sent to me a bunch of times, and everybody said, oh, you need to do a reaction to it. So I'm going to do a reaction to that and see how that goes. Apparently he said some stuff that was kind of crazy, and I don't know. I haven't watched it. Just have it all set up and ready to go. So we'll get into that. Wanted to talk to you about did everybody see the reaction or the post that I put up about everybody selling these puppies on, buy some stuff off my site and all that stuff. I like the comments, so I want to say I appreciate everybody joining in on the comments and stuff like that. Appreciate that. So I just think it's crazy. I've put it in my group on Facebook, and the reactions to that was crazy too. I just think it's crazy how people are selling puppies now. I don't know if it's a scam or what it is. To me, it's nuts that these raffles or build a puppy or whatever. That's just buy something off my site or buy some merch or buy a program or buy whatever, and it gets you in on the chance to win. I just think that all this is crazy now, how you get a chance to win. I know there was a comments on my group, the Connie Corso Standard Discussion Uncensored is one of my groups on Facebook. And one of the comments, well, that's what people do to sell puppies now. No one these days wants to spend a few thousand. So if you can just spend $25, $50 on and potentially win a puppy, it's all marketing tactics. And the seller, depending on how many people participate, gets a few thousand. It's a win-win. I think that's crazy. Mind you, there's always a stipulation that a certain amount of people have to participate. To me, that's crazy. But I guess if that's 25, 50, and you could potentially win a puppy, I don't know. The thing is like I was saying in the comment section in my YouTube, you don't have to breed puppies. You literally don't have to breed your dogs. So if you can't sell them and you need to make these, the one that I posted in my group is Win a fully trained champion line Cane Corso puppy. Every dollar spent at Calvary Corsos earns you 30 entries. Enter by June 21st for your chance to win. It's your chance to win by buying something off of their site. You don't have to breed. Like, that's the whole thing. You don't have to breed. It's no different than, the DIY canine and max trans dog and all this crap. Like, you don't have to breed your dogs. Like, just don't breed them. If you can't sell them and vet the home and actually sell your puppies to a good home and all that stuff, you don't have to breed them. So I don't understand this whole, build a puppy and all that stuff and chance to win a puppy. And I don't know why this is becoming a thing now where we do the, raffle puppy, all that stuff. How about plan a litter, get a waiting list together, do all that stuff, and don't breed until you're breeding for yourself, breeding for a list of people that you have potential buyers and all that stuff that you've already vetted, and do all that. How about that? How about we do that? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just breeding weird. I don't know. Anyway, put your comments in the section and let me know what you think of that. Like, all this to me is just crazy. But, maybe that's the new gimmick now. Maybe that's the new scam. I don't know what it is, but it's all weird and it's popping up everywhere. But anyway, that was my thought on that. So anyway, let's get into doing a reaction video on this. Like I said, a bunch of people sent it to me. I haven't watched it yet, so we'll see how it goes. And go from there.
World, and just with this channel, it's more the student channel. We embrace the student mindset. Back again, Mr. Armin Winkler. How's it going, sir?
It's going fine. How are you?
I'm good. It's better now, ain't it?
Yeah.
Miss Winkler say today, didn't she, man?
She did.
Yeah. So glad to have you back. The first show we did had a very good reception, thousands of views and already. And
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. So it was really good. We're here to talk mainly about the Doberman project, the new Doberman project. I'll pull it up on the screen and I'll just read something very quickly. So to get people up to date here. So can you see that, Mr. Winkler?
I can. It's a little small print, but.
Okay. I'll just read just a paragraph or two.
Okay.
Finnish Kennel Club board approves Doberman crossbreeding project and other key decisions. The Finnish Kennel Club board met on May 7th and May 22nd, approving a number of initiatives affecting breeding, governance, education, and international activities. One of the most significant decisions was the approval of crossbreeding project for Dobermans. The project aims to improve the breed's overall health, expand the gene pool, and increase genetic diversity. The primary focus is reducing the impact of dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM, a serious heart disease that affects approximately 60% of the breed population during their lifetime. The approved outcross breeds they're going to use are the Gordon Setter, the Hoverwart, Finnish Laponian Herder, I hope I'm saying that right, German Shorthaired Pointer. Armin, what's going on, sir? What are your thoughts on this?
So I certainly agree that the Doberman needs help. Give me a second. Crisis, give it away. My wife is still shuffling dogs around, so we may get a few little comments from somebody not invited.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So the Doberman has been in trouble for a long time. And I'm glad that the Finnish Kennel Club has acknowledged that. I don't know if the Finnish Doberman Club has acknowledged it likewise, because they're the ones that are really the stewards of the breed.
Okay.
The Kennel Club in itself is, it gives the permission for projects like that to happen, but there has to be willing participants in the Doberman Club, and breeders have to be willing to participate in it. The one thing that's not really mentioned, I mean, health is a huge problem in the Doberman. DCM, you already mentioned. There's also one Willebrand's disease, which is basically a form of hemophilia. Right. In
yeah, but you can breed. There's clear carrier. So VWD is a bleeding disorder, and you can breed clear to carrier. You don't want to breed affected, and you don't want to breed clinically affected, and we've done really good with that. So as long as you're being smart and you're not being a jackass backyard breeder, you don't have a problem with von Willebrand's disease, which is VWD. And you can test for it. You can literally test for it. We've been testing for it for years.
Dogs. There's also DCI, or C, what's it called?
CVI. Oh my God.
CVI, cervical vertical instability, which is Wobblers disease.
Wobblers, yeah.
Which is basically an instability in the cervical vertebra,
right,
where the movement of the vertebra creates friction.
And that's because we breed beautiful, elegant, swan-like necks. The weakest part of the Doberman is their neck.
That creates swelling, which causes pressure on the spinal cord and causes symptoms of lameness, paralysis, and so on and so forth.
Yep. It's because we made them so spinally thin and elegant, silhouette-like. If you breed in some European into your American lines, you don't have that problem. You want more of a thicker neck. Like this, these aren't issues if you know how to properly breed, and you do x-rays and you do all this stuff and you breed for it, you test for it, you do all this stuff. These aren't issues. The biggest problem is DCM. DCM is our biggest issue. We also have liver issue, but breeding in the Gordon Setter is horrible. I don't understand the Gordon Setter. I understand the short hair pointer. We're not going to worry about color. We're not going to, I mean, like the Gordon Setter has bloat. We don't have bloat issues. The Gordon Setter has dental issues. We don't have dental issues. We test for the eye issues, the bear issues, for ear issues. We don't have those issues in this breed. We don't have hip issues. We do those tests, but we don't have those issues. Those are issues that are in this breed, in the Gordon Setter. So we're going to add those issues in while trying to remove one issue. I don't understand using those breeds. What? Because they have the color? Those are issues that you're looking at adding in. And when you start adding in a breed, you have to think about the breed issues that you're adding in to take away one thing.
Those are the three main ones that are very, very specific to the breed. Cancer is another one that happens.
Cancer, and then you also have to have thyroid issues. We have thyroid issue in Dobermans, so do boxers, all that stuff. But so this is the thing too, is that the Gordon Setter has cancers that we don't have. So when you start adding in things from another breed, you have to think about, okay, so we're trying to get rid of one thing. We're trying to eliminate, because this is what the Finnish Kennel Club is saying, we're trying to eliminate DCM, which is dilated cardiomyopathy. So we're trying to eliminate heart issues, but we're going to add in 6 other things that this breed doesn't have, or add in, we have thyroid issues, so do they. So we're going to double up on that. Like,
very frequently.
Right.
It happens with all breeds. With the Doberman, it just seems to happen younger and more often. So there's definitely a need for salvation, let's say. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the Doberman is dear to my heart. I've lived with them since I was, let's say, 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a shame when you lose a dog. So we own Doberman still. My wife's a very committed Doberman person. Worked them in the military as military work dogs in Norway. Very, very solid, very, very strong dogs. And we had a female, really nice, very solid working female that was really a lot of fun. 6 years old, running around playing,
Drop dead.
fell on the ground dead.
And that's DCM, and that's how DCM works, just like that. Be run playing for the ball, go out, doing anything, just drop dead. And that's what DCM does.
Yeah.
Cardio.
Right.
Her son, because this happened obviously before she died, she had a litter with another very accomplished Doberman. You know the lady Ashley Sturza's dog.
Oh yeah.
And had a nice litter of puppies. We kept one, and he's 5.5, and he was diagnosed with DCM last week. And he was diagnosed not by Halter or something like that. He was diagnosed because he was showing severe symptoms of.
So he probably had a cough, something like that, lethargy, and something like that, which then you start giving medication to, and basically all you're doing is keeping the dog alive. I mean, that's the truth. But also, we can test for it now. We couldn't test for it in the past. We didn't know what it was. We didn't understand it. Now we can test for the genes of it. We can Halter monitor, make sure it's not throwing PVCs, all this shit. But then it also is food. It's also this. I understand that it has a problem and we need to do something about it. But we also have to watch the breeds that they're talking about doing. Is there a way to do it? There are lines that don't have it. There are lines that is better. Now they're saying that it's food. Now they're saying it's all this other shit because geneticists are saying, well, there are dogs that don't have it, and then that show no signs of it, don't have any of the symptoms of it, don't have any of the genetic markers for it, don't have none of this, but now there's food that's causing it. And we're like, okay, so where the hell is it coming from? So I don't even think genetics knows, but now we're going to throw in breeds that have other health issues. Why can't we go back to some of the breeds? Almost all the breeds that supposedly Louis Doberman created or used to create the breeds are alive, except the one shepherd. And we can't use any of those. We're going to go to another breed that has so many health issues.
Already visible symptoms outside, enlarged liver, enlarged heart. So it's a devastating thing to have that happen to a dog who is a quality dog, a good, fit.
The liver has nothing to do with DCM. It's the heart.
Fun dog to work. He's just a super nice dog to have. But he's going to die.
Right.
And we know that. So now we're on death watch. He's getting medication to sort of slow everything down a little.
Yeah, all you're doing is slowing it down by using the medication. But he is going to die. And that's all the medication does. And that's what the vets do. They give you all this medication and stuff, and basically to keep the dog alive. All you're doing is prolonging the death because he is going to die, period.
A little bit, but the reality is he's dying.
Yep.
And we're just waiting. And we have lost, like I said, that 6-year-old, his mother. We lost one that my wife, Tazzy, basically rescued from euthanasia while she was still in the military.
What's up, Mills?
In Norway. He was a great dog. Also died of cardio. He was a little bit older. I think he was about 8.
Okay, and 8, that's not bad. I mean, we get our longevity certificate at 9 now. Used to be 14. And if you have good lines, like my lines lived consistently 12 to 14 years. I mean, that'd be like asking your grandmother to die at 90 of nothing. I mean, at 12 to 14, not at 8. I mean, when we have Doug Bordeaux's dying at 5, maybe 5. I mean, at 8.
She has lost, I think she counted the other day when she came home from the vet, she counted, she's lost 8 or 9 Dobermans in her lifetime to see DCM.
What has she tested? This is the thing. What has she tested for? And have they have any markers? And has she done halters, all this stuff to find out what genetic traits they have? That would be the question.
So that's something that needs to be addressed. There's just no question. And one of the problems is that a lot of breeders simply don't admit that it exists in their lines. And you said earlier 60%. I would put that number pretty much at 100.
No, that's not true.
Whoa, really? Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's so prevalent there. You may not see it like tomorrow, but you know, there was talk. I've had discussions about this for many, many years, because it's just such a shock to people when their dog dies so sudden and so young. And you know, there's a lot of people that just say, oh, you know, in my lines it doesn't exist, and that's simply
no. That's not true. It's going to happen at some point. Like I had a 14-year-old male die of DCM, but he was 14. I never bred him, but he was 14. What would I want? What do I expect him to die of? Right? But I also had a 14-year-old bitch die of old age. I also had a 12-year-old bitch die of cancer. I also had another 12-year-old bitch die of, well, I put her to sleep because she had CVI, right? So you have to have these different things, but they didn't die. All of them die of CVI, or all of them die of DCM. I had one dog in 23 and a half years, one died of DCM, and he was 14. Just because she's had that many die, you have to test. And that's the thing. I've tested. And so you have to know your lines. Now, that doesn't mean, now, back then, I mean, everybody was breeding the shit out of Alex, and Alex had DCM, but he was the flavor of the month. And people back then were like, I don't care, hurry up and get your championship. And we had puppies dying. I mean, like it was all over. Puppies were dying at 12 weeks old. Puppies were dying at 2. Puppies were dying at, I mean, dogs were just fucking dying, and people did not give a shit because they wanted that championship because Alex was the flavor of the month, and people bred the shit out of him knowing that he had DCM. So there was breeders that did not give 2 fucks about DCM at the time. And bred, and that is a breeder fucking problem because they wanted that championship. And that's what snowballed all this fucking shit. If anybody wants to be fucking honest. And that's where we went fucking nuts with DCM. But 100%, I don't believe it's 100% because you can still find lines. We still have a checklist on the DPCA website of dogs that still have their longevity, and you have to search for those lines, and you have to do your due diligence, and you have to test. So the fact that she's had that many does not mean that you're not going to be able to find lines that don't have DCM. Look how many dogs are registered per year in Europe, in the United States for Dobermans. And look how many dogs don't go to the shows and all that shit, even backyard breeders, right? So if you look at how many dogs, like there's 50,000, if you look at how many are registered that are just registered, not showing, but just registered. You can't tell me 100% of them all have DCM. That's ludicrous to think that.
Not true because it happens constantly. Maybe you have a specimen who doesn't show it. And maybe the dog lives until he's old. But with a Doberman, we're almost at the point where if a dog is really good, save his semen, and don't use it until the dog lives to at least 10 years of age. And if the dog dies, say at 11, that a necropsy is done to confirm that it was not DCM.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But nothing like that is ever done. There's these Halter, you've heard of the Halter exams?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that tells you that your dog doesn't have DCM today.
Right.
Tomorrow, he could be symptomatic.
Well, also, your dog can not throw any PVCs. Your dog can wear a halter for 24 hours, and your dog could still die of DCM. Yes, we get that. Your dog could also not have any markers for DCM, wear a halter, all that stuff, and still die of DCM. Because now the geneticists are saying now it's your food. Now you need to feed, now you need to do all this because they don't even fucking know. Dobermans have they have a barrel chest. They have the largest chest and the smallest heart. And so what DCM is, just so everybody knows, dilated cardiomyopathy, it's so that you when you get excited, your heart fills up with blood and keeps expanding. Well, if your chest cavity is supposed to stop your heart from expanding beyond capacity, right? And so what it does is when you keep filling up, it allows your heart to keep pumping. Well, if you don't have something to stop it from filling up, it just keeps filling up. And so because they have such a large chest cavity and a small heart, it keeps expanding to the point where it can't stop filling up with blood, and it gets so tight that it can't no longer pump. Basically, it has a heart attack and they die like instantly. Because it can't pump no more. That's what DCM is.
And a week later, he could be dead.
Yeah.
That's how quick this happens, and that's how devastating it is. So as much as people are trying to sort of, hold off the big bad wolf that's outside the door, those tests don't really, they don't prevent what happens. I think I'd have to pull Tazzy into this, my wife, and ask her, but I think she had one that had a Holter monitor test. I think the dog was dead 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
So when did you see the pickup in deaths or the diagnosis?
2000, I want to say 10 or 12.
And what time frames?
It started to be probably a concern in the 90s.
Oh, the 90s. Okay.
And then it was probably there before, but people didn't test. Like, we didn't have in Germany, they do certain health tests once they know there's a problem, but there's really no test for DCM except for the Halter. And it doesn't tell you whether your dog has it before you use them for breeding, et cetera, et cetera. So the dog is perfectly healthy. He's used for breeding. And then all of a sudden the dog dies. Well, all his offspring now carry that gene.
Yeah.
And if there's no gene, then how come you can't test for it? Or if there's, oh my God, there's no way to test for it. There is a way to test for it. What is he talking about? Hang on. Oh my God, this guy is an idiot. Does he not know what he's talking about? Just so you all know, this is my dog. See right here, DCM, dilated cardiomyopathy, negative, 0 copies. This was in 2012. What is he talking about? There's no way to test for it except for wearing a halter? No, you can test for the gene. There's 4 genes or 6 genes now
and they're not able to. They have finally now come up with a von Willebrand's test that was also early 90s.
They're just finally now came up with the von Willebrand's test. Oh my God, is this guy a fucking idiot? Oh my God, hang on. Oh my God, they just now came up with it? My dog was a carrier. I mean, this was my male. So you breed this male to a clear, right? So that you don't have affected or clinically affected puppies. They just, dude, this was fucking 8 days ago. What?
When that started becoming a bigger problem, and it didn't really show up very much, especially in the working dogs, because severe von Willebrand's, if you work them the way we worked them back then, like say in the 80s or in the 70s, the dogs would die from.
Thank you. No, dogs don't die. Okay, so von Willebrand's is a bleeding disorder, okay? And I will tell you what it does, right? So if you're clipping your dog's nails, if you go to get the ears cut, if you have to have any surgeries, anything like that, it's a bleeding disorder. And so what happens? And it only happens not if your dog's clear, not if your dog's a carrier. If your dog's clear, you don't have any issues. If your dog's a carrier, it just means it has the disease or it has the gene to pass it on, right? If your dog's affected, it means that it has the disease and can show signs of it. If it's clinically affected, it means it will bleed, right? And it shows signs of it, right? And so, but if you go in for surgery to get its ears cropped, to get its tail docked, if it needs, like if you get it neutered, anything like that, which means that you just give it a vitamin K shot prior to any surgery. So you let your vet know. This is why you test for it. You let your vet know, hey, I got VWD. The dog has VWD because it's affected or clinically affected. What's up, T? So you know that it's affected or clinically affected, and you let the vet know. They give it a vitamin K shot about 15, 20 minutes prior to any surgeries, and you're fine. Other than that, you wouldn't know that the dog has von Willebrand's disease. It's that fucking easy. But a clear and a carrier, you have no idea that the dog has fucking von Willebrand's disease. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about unless he's dealing with all clinically affected fucking dogs. But you test for it right at birth. You can do it right at birth. So all you do is you swab it, send it in fucking, or do a blood draw, send it in, and you get a fucking test. You get a test back. You keep a clear or a carrier, and you only breed to clears and carriers. And you can eradicate it from your fucking line. It's that fucking easy.
Bleeding.
Right.
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 But
No.
it was a lot of times either not seen or ignored because it was just a small like version of it. But it happened again and again. And because there is testing for it now, I think there's some movement in the right direction.
There was testing for it back in 2000. What is he talking about?
To actually address that. There's no real test for CVI either, but it is also a genetic, it's a hereditary.
It's hereditary, but all you have to do is do an x-ray, look at the spine. You can look at the spine, make sure that your spine is good. You're not having any of the, oh my, what is this dude? How does this dude have fucking Doberman since he was like fucking 6 or 7 years old? You can tell by looking at the spine, looking at the spinal cord, looking at the neck, and making sure that all your spinal cord lines up and you don't have any of these, there's lines on the spine that, oh my God. He's making me angry.
Hereditary disease, which means the dogs are born with it. Whether it is necessarily passed on, I don't know that. I have not educated myself on that enough. But it probably came through the breeding.
He hasn't educated himself enough on anything. And the thing is it's only how you breed the neck. We like to breed a very elegant, swan-like silhouette neck. So if you get too thin of a neck, you have to breed in a more thicker, muscular neck.
And again, you and I have talked about that in private. The show breeders wanted a different dog. They wanted a different looking dog. They wanted the longer necks. They wanted more elegant heads. They wanted, chests were way large, and so on and so forth. How much did that have to do with breeding animals that had certain, like maybe the large chest comes with heart enlargement? I don't know.
Oh my God. If this guy says, I don't know, he doesn't study anything. He's just fucking making shit up on the fly.
We don't know that. I don't want to say that necessarily, but the one thing is that's not mentioned in the Doberman breeding project there is who the Doberman is. Like, we don't want a Labrador with brown socks, right? Yeah. We don't want a German Shorthair Pointer with brown socks. We want a Doberman. The Doberman is a very unique working dog, and we want.
How can he? Thank you. Right? You realize that we've only been watching him for 12 minutes, and I've already debunked everything that he said, right? I mean, I just proved it. I showed you paperwork. I don't understand this. This was 8 fucking days ago. Right? I don't understand this. How do people talk with such authority? Oh my God. I'm so baffled. No wonder people said you have to fucking do a review on this. Wow.
I want to kind of maintain the uniqueness of the dog and the qualities of the dog. And a dog is much more than the outward appearance of a dog.
Yes.
You can't, people have this arrogance about them that they say that they can determine function by the way an animal looks or moves, but the dogs are never put to the test of function. So how do you really do that? The dogs have to work, and the working tests have been reduced, eliminated, and excluded from in a lot of countries. Germany still has them. I'm not sure if it's 100% mandatory anymore, like it once was. Certainly was in the 90s and early 2000s, but there's a lot of countries in, like, the Scandinavian countries don't have it. Some of the Eastern European countries don't have them. America doesn't have anything like that.
It's not because they can't work, because, granted, they can't go like in Scandinavian and all the, like in Russia, the fur and all that stuff, because they can't withstand the cold and all that crap. But it's also because they don't have the temperament. They've been watered down so much. Is he saying it because of DCM? That's why they're not worked?
Canada doesn't have anything like that. The UK doesn't have anything like that. So it's already a very, very small gene pool that we're dealing with, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at working Dobermans from today, and I'm not even going to talk about the other ones because a Doberman that doesn't work is not a Doberman. It's a poser. It's a fake.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion, and people can get mad at me for that. A Doberman is a police dog.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's supposed to be. Now we all know how it came about, and Louis Doberman and how he created the breed. We also know that Gerler added the Greyhound later after Doberman had already passed away. So there was all kinds of monkey business going on. But when the dog was a stabilized breed, it was one of the original 7 German Schutz- und Polizeihunde, protection and police dog breeds. There was 7. For many, many decades, there was 7 dog heads on diplomas, club logos, and so on and so forth. And it was always the German Shepherd, the Doberman, the Boxer, the Airedale Terrier, the Hoverwart, the Rottweiler, and I forget one.
Giant Schnauzer?
And the Giant Schnauzer, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't forget that because that's my breed.
Yeah.
So
That's my breed.
if he cannot do that anymore,
That's my breed. So then why are you talking like you know so much about Doberman? Okay. All right.
had debates about that at the UDC Nationals and so on. And
Okay.
my dog works. I said, what does it do? Well, it's a therapy dog in hospitals. It makes people that are in hospital beds feel good. A real Doberman, the only thing we should use a Doberman for to see if a guy is fake in that he has to be in a wheelchair. Right? Here comes a Doberman. If you can't get out of the chair, you're going to get bit. And if you're fake, then you're going to get up and run.
Right.
But a police dog and military dog is a very, very specific animal. And we've added the Bouvier to that circle. We've added the Malinois, of course, to that circle. You can count the Dutch Shepherd as a separate breed, maybe, sort of, kind of. All right. And then you have the Beauceron.
So the Doberman can't be an all-around dog now? Like, it was a personal protection dog. It's always been a personal protection dog. So you can't have, like, John Q. Public can't have the dog? It has to be a police dog. That's it. Is that what he's saying? Well, I'm not a police officer, so I can't own a Doberman. Is he a police officer? Why has he owned them? Was he a police officer at 4, 6, 7? Was his family members? Is his wife a police officer? I mean, I know she was in the military.
And those are 11 breeds that do probably the most noble work that humanity can think of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's 520 recognized breeds worldwide.
Yeah. I mean, I get what he's saying, they do their original job, but, they're not allowed to. They're an all-around dog. So, okay, well, then Corsos need to go back on the farm. That's it. Not be in households.
And we have to mess up the 11. I want a Doberman, but I don't want him to bite the neighbor.
Right, right.
And get a different dog, because the Doberman, the way it's originally meant to be, would bite the neighbor if the neighbor came into your yard.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I understand. I understand your position. I know your history in these dogs, and you're probably right, because when you was talking about the show or the expo,
right? So the Corso needs to go back to the war. Yeah, only be used as war dogs.
One thing that crossed my mind when you was talking, famous sire syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that could wreck a breed if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's something I thought about. Yeah. So I understand your position. I know. Yeah. And another thing is, you don't look at dogs the way most people look at dogs, because you've always been in the capacity of serious working dogs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I definitely understand that. But I do want to know your thoughts on if it was you who had to recreate. What do you think about this breed? Some of these breeds, like the short hair pointer, the Hoverwart. You just named the Boscheron. Why didn't they not use that one?
Well, look, there's a problem with all the breeds that they have mentioned, right?
Yeah.
They don't reflect, except for the Hoverwart, they don't really reflect the working attributes of a Doberman. They don't. The Wobblers is not quite as suspicious. He's a little more territorial. He's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit heavier. It looks like a heavy-set golden retriever, right? And it comes in 3 different colors. It's the only real working dog in the whole bunch that they're talking about. The Gordon Setter, like which Gordon Setters are you going to use? The 3 in the world that still hunt? I mean, that's not an exaggeration. There's so few Gordon Setters that are really hardcore hunting dogs. They're not going to fix the breed, right?
Right.
The German Shorthair Pointer is the same. There's way too many German Shorthairs that don't work.
Not only that, the color. What are we going to worry about the color? The Doberman is a Doberman. Like the Doberman is a solidified breed, and it is recognizable by its look. When we start seeing ticking on a Doberman, are you going to go, what the fuck is that?
And the ones that do work are typically a lot smaller and built in a way that are anatomically not super compatible with the Doberman. The herding dog, the Finnish herding dog, is a very rare breed. Again, you're talking about a very, very small number of dogs. The Hoverwart is still a working dog in Germany, and they still have an annual national championships of only Hoverwarts. But there's very few dogs that go there because there's just not that many that can actually still work. And like you're not preserving the stuff that's the hardest to preserve in the dog, which is temperament and character and working attributes.
I thought we weren't preserving that. I thought we were trying to clean up the DCM, which look at the health of these breeds that they're choosing. You can't add in things that the Doberman don't have to remove one thing that the Doberman that you're trying to clean up.
None of those dogs bring them, except, like I said, to a small degree, the Hoverwart. But again, the gene pool of Hoverwarts that actually still work is also very, very tiny.
Let's talk about the health issues. Why are we talking about the temperament?
Gordon Setters that at least have good hunting prowess are very small. It's a very small percentage. And so is the German short-haired pointer. And the herding dog is completely, they herd. And, people start
a whole different type of temperament. If you got a livestock guard, a herding dog.
Yeah, and people were telling me with, chest swelled with pride that my Doberman got a herding instinct test. I said,
oh,
what? Like, where in the dog's genetics should be herding instinct? It's ludicrous for them to even do that as a working activity. A Doberman that doesn't want to kill a sheep is not a Doberman. They're very, very predatory. They are. That's just who they are. It's one of the things that you have to train and control to make sure that it doesn't cause you problems. But it's a true trait in the dog. They come from sighthounds. They're gonna chase and hunt and bite. And what most herding dogs do, like the Border Collie's prey drive, is very, very.
It's the whole idea of the pincher.
Well, retarded through breeding.
Why aren't we talking?
It's a dog that doesn't want to chase prey.
Which is the whole idea of doing this outcross bullshit to begin with.
It chases it, but it's satisfied when it stops fleeing.
Right.
The Border Collie doesn't have to necessarily be taught to hold up and stare when the group collects together. Have you ever been to a herding instinct test?
No, I hadn't saw one of those yet.
It's kind of funny because the sheep are well trained. They do this like that's their weekend job, right? So they're very, very good at this and they're very cooperative and all that kind of stuff. You bring in a Border Collie, great. You bring in an Aussie, great. You bring in a Sheltie, great. You bring in a Doberman and the sheep go, what the hell just happened? This is going to go bad from all sides. You know what I mean? They're afraid. They're panicking because there's a predator in the midst. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to breed that out of them. And that's not really the right thing. So the one thing here, and this is, I'm going to throw this out there. Sweden, which is like a hop and a skip from Finland, right? There's a bridge they can just drive across and learn. So the Swedish Kennel Club did a breeding project. I'd have to look it up. I think it was 2000, 2001 or 2 or whatever it was. Not hard to look up. I still have it in the Schnauzer magazines and stuff like that. The gene pool of the pinscher in Sweden was very, very small. And they started having health problems and so on and so forth. And the pinscher is not a very popular breed anyway. So the gene pool, even worldwide, is not very great, right? So what do we do? What do we do? Well, what they did, they bred the pinscher to a standard Schnauzer.
Okay.
Right? Because it's actually in the same kennel club.
Right.
Right? The Schnauzer club in Germany is actually called the Pinscher and Schnauzer Club. Mm-hmm. So it has the minis, Pinscher and Schnauzer. It has the standard Pinscher and Schnauzer, and it has the giant Schnauzer. The Doberman was created by different means, so it's not part of that. But the Schnauzer resembles the Doberman in temperament. It's a true working dog. It's
No, you're not wrong.
The coat is easily fixed. The project that they did in Sweden, they did the F1 generation, had sort of mixed coats. Mm-hmm. Right? They were a little rough and they didn't really look like anything. They looked like mongrels because they were, right? But then they bred in the F2, they bred these mixes back to a purebred pinscher, and there was no coat problems, no color problems, nothing. They looked exactly like pinschers again. Mm-hmm. Right? So why? And here's another thing that happened. A friend of mine, I don't know if you know her or if you just know her because she's a friend of Lance Woodley's that you've had on.
Michelle Testa.
Yeah. So
she's right here listening to you right now.
Okay. So she saved her male Schnauzer's semen and froze it. Mm-hmm. And the dog was born in, I believe, 97, 98, something like that. But he was born in the late 90s. And she did a breeding with this frozen semen with a pretty good working kennel in Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic now, with also very good genetics in there. And all of a sudden, there was an injection of 30-year-old working genes because Axe was I knew Axe well personally as well, but Axe was genetically still very, very tightly linked to the old East German Schnauzer, which was really a masterpiece of working dog breeding. It really was, because it started to actually surpass and outshine the German Shepherd in the military. Like they started having more Schnauzers in the military than German Shepherds. So the fact that this 30-year-old genetic was thrown into a dog that was bred also on significant DDR, East German bloodlines, it gave such a boost to workability and health and vigor, because there's just no inbreeding anymore. There's not even line breeding. Even if you may find Axe's ancestors 8 generations back, it's such a refresher of that working blood that, like, there's a guy.
What the fuck is he talking about? Like, why are we talking about this giant Schnauzer?
I don't know how many went to Germany, but I know there's one very successful Schnauzer competitor named Timo. I can't think of his last name right now. His Facebook name is Timo Dogsport, so you can look him up. Okay. He is one of the males out of this combination, and it's just watching that dog. It's just, there hasn't been dogs like that for generations now. Dog generations I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. It's so, if the Finnish people wanted to fix this, why not use a really good quality working female Doberman and breed it to
Uh-oh.
and fix it. You know what I mean? It would be a
Armin,
very...
Armin, one second. You froze up for a minute. Could you repeat about the last 10 seconds, 15 seconds, what you were saying?
So I said, like, to me, if they picked a very good, solid breeding female Doberman that doesn't have any, at least no current health problems, and breed it to this male in Germany, I don't...
Right.
It's Wi-Fi. Give him a second.
Dobies to giant schnauzers. Later on, oh, ragdolls. Ragdoll cats. Oh, Jesus. We'll just, like, I guess we'll just not have any purebred dogs ever anywhere.
This dog he's talking about with Michelle Testa is 2 podcasts in here I did with Michelle Testa talking about Axe in depth. Talked about her dogs like I've never seen anybody talk about their dogs before. Like one of them was about Fonda. Okay, now you're back. Okay,
I'm
sorry.
back. I don't know why that froze. You froze for me too.
Okay. I think your Wi-Fi is kind of going in and out.
We have pretty good Wi-Fi, but anyway.
Sorry, I sped it up because, like, he talks so slow.
But I was just going to say, like, it's not just that that a Schnauzer would be a good match, but there's several Schnauzers in existence. I think Michelle actually has 2 of them, but North America is a little far for Europeans, blah, blah, blah. But there is a genetic...
North America's a little far. You can ship semen anywhere in the world. Where does he live? On the moon? Like, he talks like all this shit is impossible. He talks like... Okay. He talks like you can't do these health testing that I clearly showed you can be done. Like, he just got them yesterday. He talks like North America. Well, you can't, like, this is a little far for Europeans. Ship the semen in. Like, I shipped a bitch pregnant from Russia. Like, what is he talking about? I mean, and this was... $2017? I shipped a bitch in from Russia pregnant? Like, it is, right? Like, I shipped a puppy bitch in 1994 from Argentina. Like, he acts like these are all nuanced things.
Boost that is 30 years old that we can throw. It's been thrown into the Schnauzer, so it's super successful. But you could also use those genetics and help out the Doberman. I'm not sure why they chose the breeds that they chose. Maybe because the black and tan exists in the Wobblers and the Gordon Setter, and that Finnish herding dog also has a little...
I honestly don't know why they chose these breeds either. To me, it's unthinkable. I wouldn't have chose these breeds either. Especially with their health testing. The Gordon Setter baffles me. Baffles me.
A little bit of that coloration, but it's... I mean, that would be my first go-to, because the experiment was done with a pinscher, and the pinscher looks like the Doberman. The body type-wise, it's very similar to the Doberman. The body proportions of the Schnauzer and the Doberman are, the Schnauzer is 1-to-1 height and length. The Doberman is 5-to-4, so it's very close as well. When you really groom down a Schnauzer to no beard and no, eyebrows or anything like that, they look very similar in body type to the Doberman, so that you wouldn't lose any body type, you wouldn't lose much. And from what the Swedish experiment showed us, you don't lose the coat. It goes very fast back to that hard double coat that the Doberman has. So that would be the smart thing to do. And maybe the Finnish Doberman Club hasn't heard about it. But the thing is, maybe those...
Oh my God, the Finnish Doberman Club hasn't heard about it. Of all the breeds they could have chosen, they thought, I mean, hell, like, giant Schnauzers, never heard of them.
are not the breeds, the only breeds that they have approved. Maybe they have actually just thought about those might be good breeds to try, but they've approved a much wider variety. I think the Rottweiler would be a better candidate as well than the ones that they chose, except you have to be very careful because the Rottweiler is also plagued with some health problems and lack of workability in a lot of them, because they're popular and they breed them for show and yada, yada, yada. And
they're brachycephalic.
The expo get to you, don't it?
Well, because it harms the breeds. Like back in the old days, look at the German Shepherd, because we have a great historical archive of the German Shepherd. Look at a German Shepherd from 1910, right?
Right.
And then you look at a KNPV dog from 1910 and today. The KNPV dog looked just like the German Shepherd in 1910, and the KNPV dog still looks like that same dog. Why? Because they're bred for function only.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
The KNPV dogs, unpapered BRN dogs, are bred for working. That's it. The only requirement is that there's a height restriction that can be used. But a lot of times, if a dog is 72 or 73 or whatever, and he's super good, they're not going to exclude him from it. Like, Big Roy. Have you heard of Big Roy?
I heard of Big Roy, yeah.
All right. So Big Roy was 125 pounds. He was over 55 kilos. You're not going to be that big and not stand over 70 centimeters tall, right? So it's and he was.
That would be nuts to have a Doberman that big, or to breed something. You'd have King Dobermans or some retarded bullshit.
National champion, and he sired a ton of dogs, and a ton of good dogs. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I think the Schnauzer would be the best candidate. The Rottweiler is a consideration.
No.
But you have to also.
You have DCM, you have thyroid issues, you'd have all the same shit. I thought the whole idea of even doing the Outcross is to get rid of DCM.
Weed through the health problems. The Schnauzer is still a much healthier breed, especially the working ones. I mean, in North America, that's not necessarily true. Lots of autoimmune disease and stuff like that. But the German and the Czech Republic and the Slovakian Schnauzers are still very, very healthy, long living and healthy. And that's because they breed the dogs for fitness and for health.
Yeah. Armin, let me interject this right quick, because you said something, and these words are thrown around a lot. Bull herder. Yep. And you just mentioned KNPV dogs, which a lot of people think the bull herder is something new, which is really not. It's really kind of the old police dog, right? They were doing this mixture. Could you kind of explain it to the audience so they'll know that the bull herder is nothing new?
So the bull herder is, the only difference is that they're using bull breeds that are not allowed in KNPV.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So they're like, you can breed a Malinois or a Malinois mix or a Dutch Shepherd mix and breed it to a bulldog, American bulldog, right? Or even the leggier version of the pit bulls, and you end up with a bull herder. It brings together working qualities. Again, a bull herder isn't automatically good. If you use a shitty Malinois and a shitty bulldog, then you're going to get shitty offspring. It's not a magic anything. Yeah. But if you use good parents, then something good can come out of that. It's just the KNPV, because it's a police dog organization. It's just the KNPV is a private one, and the police organization is obviously public. They don't allow the pit bulls, bulldogs, bull mastiffs. It's got a whole list of dogs that aren't allowed because they don't want those dogs to be used for police work. Because in the public eye, that would be, you know what I mean, unusual, cruel punishment, blah, 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 blah.
Too much.
It's just a lack of understanding. I think that the pit bull really doesn't bite harder than a 80-pound Dutch Shepherd either. That's just in people's heads. But for the sake of public...
She says there's 3, that chick that has the Schnauzer says there's 3 axe puppies in Europe. So apparently they can get to Europe.
Perception, I think that's why they exclude those breeds from KNPV competition. So the KNPV people very, very strongly deny the use of any of those breeds. And to be honest, we don't know because this has been going on for 100 years. So if you breed dogs for a purpose, like biting, the harder they bite, the more the push biting they show, that kind of stuff breeds
They are lucky.
the anatomy as well.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, if it does a job, evolution kind of works the way.
I mean, the pit bull wasn't necessarily bred to look like that. It just over time became that.
Right.
Because the dogs with the harder bite force, the dogs with the more stamina, how long they could hold on, et cetera, created that anatomical representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big cheek muscles and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's a lot of Malinois that come from the Netherlands where you look at them and you go, that's this granddaddy was a pit bull. Mm-hmm. But everybody will deny that. And maybe they deny it rightfully because I think with that kind of breeding, you may create that body type all on its own. Right. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but it's very possible. If you look at the way the East German Schnauzer looked, they were boxy. Their hair was super hard.
I love this guy. He's like, I'm going to say a bunch of shit, but I'm not going to say that's what happened. But you can't, you can say shit and then just say, I'm going to say that's not what happened. Or it may not have happened that way. But it could have happened. I'm just going to start saying a bunch of shit and say, well, it may not have happened that way. And then I'm going to sound really fucking smart.
They had, in the West German standard, it says the dogs are not supposed to have too much cheek musculature. Mm-hmm. Well, that obviously didn't matter at all in the East. And you got dogs that had little sort of half baseballs under their cheeks because they were muscular. They were very, very meat-headed dogs. I've worked dogs. I mean, Axe was one of them. Because his head, if you shaved him, he probably looked more like a Rottweiler than he did a Doberman. He was a huge dog with a gigantic head. And because they wanted dogs to be hard-hitting, hard-biting, and able to put up with all the nonsense that was done to them. A lot of the East German Shepherds, I worked them right when the wall came down, a bunch of them, they come on the field, and when they started getting hot and they started panting, they had that same spread pink cheek look mm-hmm. that that pit bulls do. So it can very well be a pure function of.
It could just very well be pit bull. It could be alligator. It could be. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened. It could be an alligator. It could be a crocodile. It could be a hippo. You know how when hippos open their mouth and they have all that cheek inside? It could be part hippo. I mean, it could be the F1 of a hippo.
Selection of dogs over the KNPV was founded in 1907, so we're talking about 120 years now.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Was this guy alive 120 years ago? This is amazing. Allegedly. Yep. Allegedly. It's all allegedly. Fuck me, man. This is great. I'm just going to start saying all this shit. Yep.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So it's a long time.
Let me bounce back just a little bit. You mentioned a young lady named Ashley Sturzer, Apex Doberman. Mm-hmm. She got some hell of a working Dobermans, but I noticed she, if you guys don't know, she has an interview on this channel, Apex Doberman. I noticed she also achieved an accomplishment. I don't know the name of the title, but it's a title for longevity in the Doberman. I think she got
No, I think it's the endurance test you're talking about.
It was it was some kind of. If somebody can help me out, like she had a Doberman. It's some kind of award she got for the Dobermans living like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah, it's a longevity certificate.
You ever heard something like that? Well, this is my question.
Maybe if somebody knows and they can bring it up. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Because they don't give them out in Europe. It's for the DPCA and ADC. We give them out. It's an American thing.
But this is something I would like to ask you. Do you think there are
Joe, that dog's son has cardio at 5.5.
Right.
So what the hell does that award mean? If it exists.
Right. Yeah, but I didn't know. That's what this is my question. If you can.
Oh my God. What? What a dick. Why is he such a dick? I'm sorry. I'm just
To find dogs with longevity, do you think that the people that just doing this cross would study some of the Dobermans who have longevity, or is it's just too hard to track?
no.
Let's look at it this way too, right? So what happens with DCM? Do you know? Do you know what happens with DCM?
Well, yeah, the heart just gives out.
No. Slowly over time, cells of the heart muscle die.
Okay.
And then they compensate for it. And the heart gets enlarged.
Okay.
To where it gets very, very big. Mm-hmm. And then it creates inflammation, and there's the cardiac sac starts filling up with fluid, and they start seeping into the lungs and blah, blah, blah. Right? But the enlargement of the heart is a very, very prevalent symptom. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, that would happen much quicker in dogs that work. So you have a show dog that runs in left circles 3 times a year and then sits on the couch the rest of the year. Maybe they have DCM and they live longer because their heart is never really put under any kind of load. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so those types of things are kind of misleading a little bit. I would say, like I said early on when we started, I would say that if you want to use Doberman studs, save their semen and don't use them until they at least reach 10. And if they die after 10, I would necropsy them. And if DCM was the cause, then throw out the rest of the semen.
Oh yeah, that's what we would do. Just throw out the rest of the semen. So this is the longevity certificate that he thinks is such a bullshit thing. You can search your dog. You can search anybody in your pedigree on the Doberman Club, Pinscher Club of America. So the dog has to live 10 years or longer. And you get their certificate. And it gives you the whole pedigree. So you just I just picked a name. So, share this tab. So you just pick a name. So I just picked a name. And then you can go to the pedigree. So share this. So you just pick the name. And then you can see all the names. So this one got one. This one got one. This one got one. This one, this one, this one, this one. And it tells you how many years. So all these dogs that have an LC after it tells you. So this one's 10, this one's 10, this one's 11, this one's 11, this one's 10, this one's 14, 11, 14, 14, 11, 14. And it tells you by all the numbers because you have to show a death certificate from the vet to show that that the dog lived this long with the dog's registration number, all this stuff to the Doberman Pinscher Club of America to get a longevity certificate. This fucking guy. Sorry. Like people like that don't know shit just really fucking piss me off. And that's just one. So you can literally go in and show like what it is and all that shit. Oops, sorry. But it shows you all this shit. Like, and you can go and look at anybody's pedigree of like somebody. I'm sorry. I'm just fucking. People piss me off. Especially when they're talking about my breed. Like, when they're talking about my breed, it's like literally, if you don't know, probably just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Like, he's like, I don't know. So that dog's, son died at 5. Well, like, okay, like all these people are breeding Doug Bordeaux's, right? So... Like, I don't know. Maybe don't breed Doug Bordeaux's anymore then, according to this guy. You don't know that dog's son died at 5, but you can literally research the lines. And I'm just showing you one, right? Like I'm just showing you one pedigree. There's a list, and you can like look up everybody's fucking pedigree and how you get it. You can do all this shit. You can find out what the dog died of. And just because it died at 10 doesn't mean it died of DCM. It could have died of old age. It could have had cancer. It could have like got hit by a fucking car. Who fucking knows why it died? But you can look it up and see through fucking DPCA. You keep fucking track of all that shit. You don't just willy-nilly. Oh, you don't just call up the DPCA and say, "Oh, my dog died at 10," and they're like, "Okay, well, here's your longevity certificate." Fucking asshole.
Because it's genetic. If a dog has it, even if it doesn't show up until he's 12.
Right.
Oh my God, if the dog is fucking 12 years old, I'm sorry that the dog died of DCM. What do you want the fucking dog to die of? Like, honestly. At some point, the dog has to die of something at some age, right? Like, I'm sorry, but like, I understand. I mean, I don't want the dog dying at 2. I don't want the dog dying at 5 or 6 from DCM. But at 12, it's a pretty good fucking life. At 14, it's a really good fucking life. But at some point, dogs don't live for fucking ever. And I'm not saying you should breed DCM. I'm not saying that your dog should. We should eradicate DCM. Do our best to get fucking rid of it. That's the whole point of it. But he's acting like the dog dying at 12 of DCM. Like I said, my male died at 14. Yes, of DCM. I never fucking bred him. But if the dog dies at 14 of DCM, and he did a lot of shit. He was my demo dog. He did search and rescue. He did all kinds of shit. But at DCM at 14, holy shit, that'd be like asking my 90-year-old grandmother not to die of something.
It's too big of a risk if you want to really eradicate it.
Yeah, it's like
I agree.
it's like epilepsy. You can't track it. There's no way you can.
We should do something to do it, but fucking adding in other breeds that have such way more fucking problems is not the answer. And adding in bloat, fucking dental issues, eye issues, more cancer, doubling up on fucking thyroid, all this other shit from the Gordon setter, not the other fucking problems, hip issues, elbow issues, all this other shit to eradicate one thing. That's not the answer.
Really distract that stuff.
No.
Yeah. So, and while we talking about that, these breeds that they're using, I know a lot of people eyebrows went up, but I think a lot of these herder breeds is they were using more for cardiovascular, heart, stamina, longevity these breeds have. But my question would be, if you mix that into the Doberman, will the project, how long will it last? You know, you got your F1s, F2s. How long can you mask it when it's something
like a true influx of new blood, new genetics?
Yes, sir.
Basically can erase it.
New blood.
Like by mixing genetics, it's called hybrid vigor.
Yes, sir.
It can actually like get rid of a disease for many generations. Now it's obviously a disease that exists in dogs.
They get rid of a disease, and then we'll add in other fucking diseases, right? That we don't have, that we'll have to worry about. So then we have dental diseases. Oh my God.
So it may show up again, but at the rate that it shows up in the Doberman, breeding an outcross like that, not just an outcross within a breed, but an outcross to a completely different breed would definitely have significant health effects. But again, we have to look at the totality of the dog and be true to that. And which Gordon setter are they going to use? Is it a Gordon setter that's going to have all kinds of hunting trophies on his shelf? Is it
So these are the health issues of the Gordon setter, just of the Gordon setter that they want to use. And these are things that we don't have in Dobermans. But we're going to add them. So these are the things that you have to think about when you breed in a breed. I mean, we don't have these issues. But yeah, we're going to add this breed in. Because why? Why? What is the point of this breed? Right? Right? I mean, we don't even have dental issues. I mean, like, this is all crazy. But yeah, it's a good idea to add that. That's just one
center that has show ribbons.
Right.
The same thing goes. Is the hoverboard for many, many years, many decades actually had to have at least a Schutzen one, or he couldn't be used for breeding.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Are they going to use the one that went to the nationals the last 3 years? Are they going to use one that's a show champion in Finland?
Yeah.
Right. Because I have never seen a hoverboard go to the Schutzen championship in Finland. So do they even have working hoverboards in Finland? Are they willing to go outside the country and use dogs like that? It has to be a breed that's healthier, and that has to be, for the most part, healthy. Like, you go back, I'm going to go back to Axe. Maybe if Michelle has any semen left, maybe she lets him use that semen for that project. Yeah. But here she just put it up on the...
He lived 14 and a half years.
And dogs of that era lived that long all the time. I had one that...
But what did he die of? I mean, did he die of DCM? I mean... I'm just being facetious now. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's bad either, because you won't know the outcome. Am I saying that something needs to be done? Sure. Am I saying that there is a possibility that it could be a good thing? Absolutely, because Dobermans need help. I'm not saying that it can't be something that could be worked. I'm saying that the breeds that they chose, I don't understand them.
That was 16.
But yes, I agree, Mills. People do unnecessary shit.
They lived a long. They were very, very longevous. I had one that came out of his grandmother. There was 8 dogs left at age 14 out of that litter. It's a very, very healthy breed, and they lived a long time. So it's I mean, the show dogs, the Doberman show dogs with the giant turkey breasts.
And this is also the thing that we have to understand too, is that just because they're taking this dog and this dog and this dog and this dog and doing all this shit, Mother Nature is also a fickle bitch, and she'll throw her own monkey wrench into the whole mix of it and do whatever. So we already know that we have a mutation with the albino Doberman. What other mutations are we going to get with all of this shit, right? And so doing all this, I mean, we don't know. Should something be done? Could something be done? Possibly, but at what expense to try to eradicate one thing? You all bears the giver. And that's all I'm saying is, like, it has to be, and this is the thing, you have to be working with geneticists that understand all this shit. And like, I'm not saying don't try it. I'm not saying that it's like just a bad idea, throw it all out the wall, throw it all off the table. But you have to be more mindful of what you're using. And why aren't we using breeds closer to what were used for the Doberman? I mean, all those breeds aren't dead. Like, not all gone. So, like, this is the shit that I don't understand. And why aren't we using healthier breeds? Like, closer to what the Doberman is and closer to not having the health issues. Why are we adding more things in? That's what I get angry about. If we don't have these problems, why would we add them in? And I'm not saying that you're going to add them in, like, like just because they have them, oh, well, you're definitely going to get them. But there is a possibility, so why take that risk?
That can't jump a 1 meter jump, like they're so much more prone even than gastric torsion and things like that because of the way.
I'll be right back. Yeah, bloat. Right. There's breeds that are closer. I'm just saying.
They're built. Look, the healthiest breed on the planet right now is the KNPV Malinois. So we had an accidental breeding between a black Malinois. It's related to a dog that I had years and years ago. Sort of an impulse buy because one of my other dogs died. Super nice working dog, very good KNPV dog, high flyer, a little smaller in stature, more of a lighter dog, all black. I used him once for a litter, good puppies. One is a police dog. It was only 4 dogs. Yeah, it was only 4 puppies. One is a police dog, and one of them is a personal dog. One of them went to the guy that has Spike's Canine Fund, and he died of a heat stroke. And one of them I have, and he's a great demo dog. I do all the things that special ops dogs do with him. He's a super bomb dog, so turned out okay. And he, Ashley and my wife tried to repeat the Marco breeding with our female and Marco, and Ashley drove down from Ohio to make it happen. And they did their thing, and then she went back, and then we thought our female was done. So she was out in one of the big yards, and the little black Malinois was out in another big yard, and all of a sudden, the black Malinois was running loose outside. He's not even in any yard.
Right.
So what the hell happened? And didn't really know anything had happened. He was just out of the yard. And, 2 months later, my wife was driving to Dulles to pick me up from the airport. I was just coming back from Africa. And just because he was too close to the due date, because she was definitely pregnant, she took the female with her in a big extra large crate so that if anything would have happened, blah, blah, blah. So she ends up texting me while we were just on the tarmac. I was waiting for customs, et cetera, that, she was going into labor. So she pulled over and she waited. And then she writes back a text in giant letters as these are not Dobermans. So we have the 2. We have a female, we have a male. And
I don't believe in accidental breedings. Accidental on purpose, maybe. It's like the origin breeds that made the breeder saw. That's what I'm saying. And they are. There's only one breed that's some kind of German Shepherd. It's a Shepherd, but it's an old Shepherd that went extinct. Is the only breed that and the thing is you don't really know. He didn't keep very good records. So, but there is one Shepherd that was used that is no longer, it went extinct. But other than that, most of the breeds that we know of are still alive. They're still around. Helicopter wisdom. What? I don't believe half these stories of it was an accidental breeding. I bred for 23 and a half years. Well, longer than that. Dobermans for 23 and a half years. And then I had 2 litters of Corsos. I've never had an accidental breeding, ever. And at one point, I had 17 dogs in my house. 17. Males and females. And I've never had an accidental breeding. I've been married for 32 years and I've never had an accidental pregnancy. Ever. And I don't have any kids.
The male is kind of a little bit like sort of a darker Malinois color,
Right.
but doesn't have a mask, doesn't have the black mask like the Malinois do, and the female is jet black.
Okay, gotcha.
She has a little bit of brown hair, like 10 brown hairs between her toes. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, she's completely black. So they're healthy as can be. So we'll see how long they live.
They're healthy as can be. Just healthy as can be. How old are they? How old did they say they were? Just healthy as can be because they're a mix.
You know what I mean? It's and they look like Dobermans.
Right.
I can send you pictures if you want. But they look in stature like Dobermans. Their hair the females is almost exactly like a Doberman. Right. The male has maybe just a little bit extra, like another 2 or 3 millimeters of length. Mm-hmm. Their hairs are kind of.
What are these mixes of?
Most of the time they hang down, but not as floppy as a Doberman. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when they're super excited, they actually stand up.
Right.
But anatomically, they look like thick Dobermans, like just very athletic Dobermans. And we'll see what happens with them. But I bet you if anybody bred a Doberman to that female, all the puppies would be black and tan.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
What did he have an accidental breeding of? I didn't catch it either because I went to get ice and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So. T, did you catch it? I don't really want to go back.
Yeah. So then it would look exactly like a Doberman again. So then you have the health of that other, it's a mixed breed dog. So he's got tons and tons of.
Oh, it's a mixed breed to a Doberman. And then it looks like a Doberman. Oh my God. Doberman and bear, probably.
Different things in them. Dutch herders, Malinois, somewhere along the line, maybe a Tavern or black German Shepherd to get the black color.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because he comes from a whole line of black Malinois. So obviously there's the black came in from somewhere. Okay. And they did have some good working Groenendales.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what brought the black color in. But the black German Shepherd also brings that in. So sometimes if, granddaddy German Shepherd brought that coloration in. So who knows? But it's a mix of working dogs. People always think that when they say the Malinois mix, they sort of imagine sort of direct mix, like parent was one, like everybody calls their police dog, the people that aren't really breeding aficionados. They say like, I have a German Shepherd Malinois mix. Well, how do you know that? He looks just like any other KNPV dog. Mm-hmm. So they imagine when you say he's a Malinois mix, they imagine that one parent was a Malinois, one parent was a German Shepherd, and these are the puppies. No. These dogs have been mixed for 100 years. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's a... And because they're bred just for working, the size has been very standardized. Health has been very standardized. They had a little bit of trouble in the 80s where the hips were not so well because there was no mandatory hips x-ray.
Right.
Once they started doing that, the hip stuff's been eradicated, and purely selecting for the ability to work has standardized the dog that is the most capable and the most healthy dog in the world today.
Yeah.
Mm. Let me
other than the Deutsche Jagdterrier. And why? Because the Deutsche Jagdterrier in Germany, and I don't know what the other countries do because it's a German breed, so they should stick to what the Germans do. Yeah. It is the strictest tested dog.
And so it's the most healthiest for him, I guess, because it's such a mutt, the little bit of Doberman in it. So it's so healthy. How old are they that he knows that they're so healthy? Jesus fuck. It's a big small wild dog, right?
Dog for ability in the world.
Right.
They have to.
And so all he's doing right now is promoting just mutts. That's what he's doing. He's promoting mutts.
Do hunting tests, they have rigorous health testing, et cetera. And because of that, the dog has
breed mutts.
They're super, super healthy. They live a long, long time, and they're not afflicted by anything.
Right.
So that comes from function. Nobody, you cannot, like you couldn't go to Germany and buy a yacht terrier from a breeder.
Right.
Because if you didn't have somebody vouching for you and they didn't know for sure that you were hunting and blah, 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 they weren't going to sell you a puppy.
Right.
They're super, super strict about where their puppies go and what they're used for and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been hearing that breeders don't even want to search. I heard one guy was telling me about a guy that bred American bulldogs in some other country that won't even send dogs to the U.S. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I wouldn't either, because we destroy everything that we touch. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, right now he's promoting mixed breed dogs. I mean, that's all this is. They're super, super healthy. Right.
But
now with the CDC and their nonsense,
the 6-month rule.
We have that 6 month stuff, so it's really hard now to import a puppy because you need a breeder that's willing to keep the puppy for 6 months.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever had litters of puppies, but doing right by a bunch of puppies until they're 6 months old, that's a full-time job. It's a hard full-time job.
Yeah, 6 months, you pretty much you can do a lot of imprinting by 6 months. You know, it's pretty much mine. 6 months, I don't even want to give them up.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the other thing. I mean, you get attached to them. We kept a female out of the litter that the purebred Doberman litter, and it was a guy in Sweden that bought.
The fact that he has to say purebred Doberman litter tells me that he doesn't breed purebred dogs enough. Why did he have to say a purebred Doberman litter? Yeah, I don't have TikTok.
Daughter, and they couldn't import the dog until they're 4 months old because of the rabies shot and all that kind of stuff. And it was hard to send her away. Yeah, it was really hard to let her go.
Right.
So it's I understand why breeders don't want to do that.
Right. Let me. So I know how you feel about the show, So I know I keep bringing it up, I was just trying to glance over it, the FCI standard for the giant Schnauzer, and I didn't see much about temperament. I just saw more about the structural part. Maybe it's in there.
Because they care more about the anatomical stuff. But if you look at the PSK stuff,
okay,
I don't know if they have their page in German, but if you look at the Pinscher Schnauzer standard, it definitely says a lot about temperament.
Okay, so a giant Schnauzer Doberman, the temperament should be described in the true temperament should be described in any standard, you would think, right?
Yeah. You know why AKC is not a member of FCI?
So probably because they can do their own thing.
Because they refuse to breed to the standards of the country of origin of the breeds.
Yeah, that's actually wild.
You know what I mean? Like they breed German Shepherds, German Shorthair Pointers. The dog even has German in the name, but they will not use the German breed standard to breed.
Well, us Americans, we like to show the rest of the world how to do it.
But the thing is, all the working breeds, America is ruined.
Yeah, they are failing. Yeah, they're failing big time.
And it's because the working dogs, especially the police dog breeds, have suffered the most because most people don't want dogs with aggression potential in their hands, in their home. So they bred deliberately to get rid of that trait. So they bred the weakest.
I 100% agree with that. That's the truth. That's why I mix American and European. When I breed Dobermans, I mix them. American and European. You need a European Doberman in your American lines. 1000%.
Yes, specimens, and that's the American John Schnauzer. It's the American Doberman.
Yeah, but I remember too, Armin. I'm about to call your whole name. That's how I think about you, about this figure. But I remember, as a kid, when people always say dogs were different back then, and I remember like having shepherds and things like that, how strong they were as a kid, like how stoic. I remember because
a lot of them were still from there.
They were coming closer from the working lines. Yeah,
sure. And they were coming from the original countries still.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So you are what I would say, or some would say, I'm the true preservation breeder. You would consider, huh?
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur in a way, but the thing is, like I said, those 11 breeds, and the Bulls run is borderline, but the other ones, like there's 10 breeds of dogs that do man work for police and military, right?
Mhm.
And where are they? Because people wanted the dog for their looks and not their temperament, and then breeders got them back, and then before you know it, breeders start breeding.
When you do that, I'll have to see. I want to see them. But this is also the truth too, is that European, like somebody wrote that too. European got rid of cropping and docking. They used to be cropped and docked. Now you can't crop and dock them there. You can here.
For a different goal, and that's to get puppies and dogs that stay in the homes.
Right. Yeah.
Like, look, military-wise, right? There's still a lot of police dogs in Germany that are Schnauzers. There's still a few Dobermans, not that many anymore. But like, I'm the only Schnauzer breeder, because I used to breed Schnauzers. I'm the only giant Schnauzer breeder that has bred a Tier 1 qualified giant Schnauzer that was basically able to do all the Tier 1 work that all the other dogs were able to do. The only one in the world ever.
Wow.
Right? And that's why the Schnauzer used to be a great military breed, but there's so few people that want dogs like that want to handle dogs like that, because
yeah, but people don't.
That submit stay.
People also changed. People don't want that type of dog anymore either. I mean, look at how many times I posted in my thing that dogs are killing kids. People can't handle that type of dog anymore. Like John Q. Public can't. He's talking about a totally different dog. John Q. Public can't watch their kids and dogs. Right. Exactly.
They are hard-headed and stubborn and don't respond really well to compulsion. They respond way better to positive stuff. They need influence and corrections like every other dog, but you try to force one of those dogs to do something, they're going to tell you, like, if this is a fight, then let's fight.
Right.
They're not easy dogs.
Yeah, and people cannot handle, most John Q. Public can't handle those type of dogs. And they want, fluffy on the couch and all this stuff. And when a kid gets up on the couch and has a cracker and stuff like that, then the kid dies, right? Because how many posts did I put up in the last couple days of that actually happening? So he's trying to put those type of dogs in people's homes, and you can't do that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So that's why those dogs got watered down. You don't have those type of dogs anymore. People think they want those type of dogs, but they can't handle the reality of those type of dogs.
And they're not easy dogs to transfer to a new handler.
Right. Waiting for his internet to come back in. Waiting on your internet, Mr. Winkler. Anyway, I'm gonna start taking questions, people. Armin, if you can hear me, you frozen.
Yeah, I don't know. Our internet is usually very good. But
I started laughing when you said the dogs be so tough. If you want to fight, we can fight. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's not a great dog to hand to a soldier. Like, Rangers handle for 2 years. That's it. So they get a dog that either just came out of school or a dog that a previous handler handled, and they're given a dog, and they get a 2 months training course, and then they're supposed to go into war with those dogs.
Exactly.
Can I ask you something about military dogs?
Mm-hmm.
As far as their temperament, are they going to be like alpha dogs, or are they going to be more for like beta dogs for the handlers?
I don't really like that term.
Beta, yeah. Well, yeah, that meaning. Yeah,
because I tell you something, there's some alpha dogs out there, like true alpha dogs, that will just not submit to anyone at any time. Right. Yeah. You can't work those dogs. Nobody can work those dogs. I've had some seriously dominant German Shepherd dogs in training, and they do a lot better with female handlers.
Oh, really?
Because any kind of pushing them around, any kind of demand, any kind of correction, they take as a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fight is on. But they don't take it as a challenge from a female, because male and female rank ladder in wild dogs are parallel. They're not the same. There's not like an alpha female. She's not alpha over all the males.
Right. Yeah.
That's silly, right?
Yeah.
You can have a grumpy female that bitch slaps a dog around a little bit, but if the male got really mad, it would be not a fight at all, right?
Right.
So it's a silly term. It exists for wolves for the sake of breeding, right? It's a select pair that has breeding rights. All the other wolves are support wolves. And yes, it is achieved through a certain amount of rank wrestling and fighting and stuff like that. But it's not this. Whenever humans hear the word alpha, the image of a dictator pops into their mind, and that's not a good leader, right? Like alpha wolves are not like a dictator like Hitler or Castro, et cetera, et cetera. I would say that an alpha in a wolf pack is much more like a team leader on Team 6.
Yeah.
Right? He leads his team to success.
Huh?
That's what the team leader does, and that's what a wolf leader, an alpha wolf, is supposed to do. It's not supposed to beat up on them and boss them around and bully them and all that kind of nonsense that people associate with alpha. That's just not true. There's a natural need for pack living animals to establish a certain order, but that's just so they can function. That's not like the beta is always beat up on. That's just not the way it is.
Right.
Beta is not beat up on. It's the omega. What is he talking about? Does he not know how wolf mentality works? It's the omega that's beat up on. The omega is the one that's always coward, always shows the belly, always shows the neck. What is he talking about? Does he not understand wolf mentality? Like pack mentality? The beta is always the second in command. And it's usually the sister or the aunt. It's usually the sister to the alpha.
People have to really get out of the house every once in a while and watch nature instead of just imagining things by reading stuff on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go watch a wolf pack.
Yeah, I've watched a lot. I've actually worked at a wolf sanctuary. What the fuck is he talking about? This isn't the guy that does. This isn't the guy, I don't think. No, this isn't the guy that doesn't say. Or did he say that too?
Go out, or I had the great fortune to watch wolves in the wild because I lived in Canada for a long time, and when I went moose hunting, there was lots of wolves around.
Okay, go work at a wolf sanctuary.
So you can watch them and see what they do and see how they interact and see how they hunt and how cooperative and coordinated they are.
Yeah.
This whole drill sergeant idea that doesn't exist. It can't exist, and it can't exist on a SEAL team either. Because
SEAL teams and wolf packs are different, but okay.
They all none of the people on the special ops teams, the real high level, the tier 1 special ops teams, wear the rank insignia.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? There's no
wear rank insignia, probably because if they get captured, they don't want anybody to know who's in command. But there is a person in command. What the actual fuck is this guy talking about?
No, yes, Sarge, like that, right? They're drop down and give me 20. Like, none of that stuff can exist.
Well, that's not going to happen on a SEAL command when they're out in the field fucking doing something. Drop down and give me. What is your actual premise here? Like,
at that level anymore. They have to cooperate. There is a team leader that is sort of the strategist, but
the alpha, and there's a team leader. I mean, they don't go up and go, "Hey, alpha," to the team leader, but there is a team leader that's controlling the whole operation. And they're going to say, "We're going to go here, here, and here," and give signals to everybody, and everybody's following those commands. What are you talking about? I thought this dude was in the military.
Everybody has a job to do that is equally important.
Yeah.
No shit. So is a wolf pack. But there is a hierarchy in the wolf pack. Is he literally like trying to confuse people on purpose?
And if they don't function as a team,
A true pack.
that they don't survive. And that's just
No shit. But they all have to listen. Like, there's a hunting pack that goes out, and the alpha goes out in the hunting pack. And it's her and the rest of her crew. But her daughter or her sister or whatever will stay back, and that is to take care of the pups, and they're what they call the den mothers, right? And so they will take care of the pups and all that stuff. The male stays back, which is her soulmate, and he will wait until the pack is done catching the prey. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? But they all talk to each other. Has he never watched lions? Has he never watched hyenas? Has he never watched like a lion pride and how they work?
same with the true. Like, I also got to watch like wild dogs in Africa.
Yeah.
Which they're actually closer to our dogs, from what I can observe, than wolves are.
Mm-hmm.
They're more playful in adulthood than wolves are. Where our
Wolves are extremely playful. Right.
dogs are sort of wolves that never grow up, right? They call dogs infantized wolves.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what animals do in the wild, and there isn't this. You see the clear team leader and pack leader in a dog pack sort of roll on his back with a puppy or a lesser wolf, and they're not these grumpy dictators that people always imagine. So what we want extremely powerful.
Yeah, I mean, even the alpha will play with her pups. Even the alpha will play with the beta and the omega, but it's not like what is he talking about? He thinks that they don't have this connection. They're very connected. But when shit gets done, it gets done. Like, I don't understand what he's trying to say. He thinks that like the alpha just goes around and like she's just bitching and like complaining everybody, biting everybody.
Dogs again, I work in a very specific community, not sort of Lackland Air Force Base type stuff, like really high-end stuff.
Okay.
You want a dog that's very, very tough and resilient against incredible amounts of stress, right? And absolutely aggressive, so that they actually neutralize a threat and save lives, but selectively aggressive, right? So you have this pipe-hitting man-eater running around, and he's running around with 20 soldiers in the dark.
In the dark, yeah.
And he leaves everybody alone, and then he comes across the enemy or the target and lights them up. So you need to have a dog that can learn. You need to have a dog that can differentiate. You need to have a dog that is not so highly defensive that everything becomes a threat because those dogs don't differentiate well. You understand? Like they need to differentiate who to be aggressive towards. So it has to be selective aggression, which is not as easy as people think it is, right? Because like the dogs aren't always with the assault teams.
Right.
The assault teams are assault teams and they practice and then they send dogs out with them. So it's not like they're buddies living in the same tent for a year. These dogs need to be clear-headed and understand who's good and who's not good and so on. So you need very powerful and very intense dogs, but you also need dogs that have a very, very clear head.
How does this all correlate to the wolves? Like
Honestly, we don't want dogs that challenge corrections and things like that very much, because you can't have that, right? I'm sure you saw that.
He doesn't want dogs that are really strong, that if you give them pushback. So he wants the dogs being trained by the women who don't take it as a threat. I'm lost. And maybe it's just me, but do you get what he's saying? Because at first he wants these dogs that we are not allowed to have anymore, or that are not being raised anymore, or they're being ruined because they're not the true dogs anymore. And the only ones that he sees that are good, or that do good, are the ones with the women, because they don't take it as a challenge. Like, what the fuck? He's all over the place.
A video that's floating around from Jonesboro.
Yeah, my area, on the other side of the state.
Oh, like there's lots of experts that go into what happened there on this.
What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think there was definitely a bit of a painful thing that happened as he came across the fence. But if you look at that dog, and you'd need a little bit more info, but if you look at that dog when the handler approaches, where does he look?
I don't remember seeing
his ears up, almost on his hind legs, looking off to the side, up at that board fence.
Okay.
Like he wants to get over that board fence so he can bite the guy on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So he's got the suspect, or at least another human or whatever, in his nose, but he can't access him. That's probably why he jumped over that fence in the first place, to find a way to access the bad guy. The bad guy was apprehended without the dog, but he was there somewhere. But the dog he looked at that board fence, and that's where he wanted to go, right? So now the dog is totally into, I got to bite this guy. I got to bite this guy. The handler lifts him over, pretty much turns him upside down. He probably got pinched a little bit on the fence or the way the guy grabbed him. But in his mind, at this point, he's almost upside down. His head is down. He doesn't even see his handler anymore.
Right.
He sees more like he wants to fill his mouth with something. Right. Watch it. You're already at the fight. Look earlier before he gets to him.
Okay. Hold on.
If you want to look at it. I mean, that's got nothing to do with our topic, but.
Right. Okay, this is not the right clip. Okay, let me see.
No, they cut that first piece out there. So he wants to come over, but he's jumping up, and I'm not sure he's necessarily coming up to get back to his handler, or if he's trying to get at something. But just before that, if you back it up a little bit, you see the dog looking up with intent towards the board fence. So he's trying to get at something. So, like, I've had this happen in training before, and officers have had it happen in real deployments. The most dangerous time is when a dog either cannot access the bad guy, or is taken off of a bite and taken away, and then he basically has a real hard time discriminating friend from foe, and he may bite the wrong guy, right? Because he's so into filling his mouth. Like if you do a lift off with a dog and take him away from what he just bit, and then you bring him around, and all he wants to do, because he was forcibly removed, all he wants to do is fill his mouth again, and you turn him around, and there's another officer standing there. He's going to latch onto him.
Yeah.
Right? So it's probably a combination of all those things. There could be other things, but we don't want to get into any conspiracy type stuff. Right. The dog got pinched when he came over, and he didn't really want to come over. He was kind of torn between staying on that side and coming back. And he was definitely committed to that board fence quite a bit. So think of it from the dog's perspective. He wants to access a guy to bite. And then the handler lifts him over. The dog kind of loses where he is for a second, and all of a sudden he touches body. Right. He latches on. Like, how many times do we see the same videos where the dog can't get over the fence, the officer grabs the dog and puts him over the fence, and then there's a guy laying there and the dog bites him there. Right. Well, it was probably a bit of a pain stimulation from the pinch, coupled with mistaken identity.
Right.
Until it's real hard to like real aggression when a dog really, you see a lot of protection scenarios and all that kind of stuff. When a dog really bites a human with determination, they're in a totally different state of mind.
Mine says, yeah.
So,
right. I'm gonna get some questions in.
Yeah.
It ain't every day you get Armin Winkler live. Street Rossi, this is for me. Hey man, this ain't a good question for the show, but I tell you this: look up Julie Swan. She can help you. She's the best in the game with that type stuff. Your websites, all that good stuff. Julie Swan, look her up. Okay, so Brushline Kennel says, is that a question? Okay, no, he go 416. Why use a Gordon Setter, Hovawart, I can't say that. Instead Laponian, instead of a dog like the
it's the Lappish. You know who the Laps are?
No.
They're basically like the natives here.
Oh, okay.
They have the same sort of physical appearance a little bit too, but they're sort of the natives in all the Nordic countries, Finland and Sweden and Norway, and they herd reindeer.
Oh, okay.
They're the only ones that are legally allowed to own reindeer, so they have these dogs to herd.
I honestly don't know.
The reindeer.
So they'll be more like the Native Americans in the U.S., something like that.
They look weird. They actually physically in appearance look maybe closer to the Eskimos than like somebody. Not like an Apache, more like an.
He apparently is high in the military or something. Yeah, I think because he just said he does a whole lot in the military. His wife, I know, trains or used to.
Eskimo.
Well, I guess. Well, okay, yeah.
So,
all right. He says, why use those breeds instead of like the Boar's Hun, which is already 50-50 Doberman bully?
Because it's really hard to sort of start tracking what did what. You know what I mean? If you already breed it to a mixed breed, that how long has the Boar's Hun been breeding through anatomically, physiologically, temperament-wise? And if that has happened, say for 10 generations at least, then it's a consideration. But you want a standardized dog so that you know what your potential outcome is and what you need to erase again and what you need to iron out again. If you just want to have sort of a mixed breed bite dog, there's plenty of them around. If you want to fix the Doberman, you got to be a little bit more selective so you don't ruin the anatomy entirely, and you don't lose the anatomy entirely. And it's a project. It's not going to happen.
I don't understand that. If it's already a Doberman bully, then adding a Doberman to it, you already would have 75% Doberman and 25% bully, right? If I read Canine's thing correctly, right? If it's 50-50 Doberman and bully, then adding a Doberman to it would be 75-25. So what was his problem with it?
So they herd the reindeer.
So they'll be more like the Native Americans in the U.S., something like that.
They look weird. They actually physically in appearance look maybe closer to the Eskimos than like somebody. Not like an Apache, more like an Eskimo.
Well, I guess. Well, okay, yeah.
So,
all right. He says, why use those breeds instead of like the Boar's Hun, which is already 50-50 Doberman bully?
Because it's really hard to sort of start tracking what did what. You know what I mean? If you already breed it to a mixed breed, that how long has the Boar's Hun been breeding through anatomically, physiologically, temperament-wise? And if that has happened, say for 10 generations at least, then it's a consideration. But you want a standardized dog so that you know what your potential outcome is and what you need to erase again and what you need to iron out again. If you just want to have sort of a mixed breed bite dog, there's plenty of them around. If you want to fix the Doberman, you got to be a little bit more selective so you don't ruin the anatomy entirely, and you don't lose the anatomy entirely. And it's a project. It's not going to happen overnight.
It's going to definitely be a process. Yeah.
I said this many, many years ago, over 30 years ago now. I said, breeding a complete solid Doberman is like building a 1930 Ford. you're gonna go to 100 junkyards to buy parts to put it together. And that's kind of with the Doberman. There's so many, one dog is maybe a little healthier.
Well, that's kind of how he was made too, though, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, through breeding, he's become this.
Yeah, they fixed him.
Like you go to. I don't have anything against female handlers or anything like that, but the majority of Doberman handlers, breeders, owners are females.
Right.
A lot of female. I got a lot of.
And there's a lot of excuses made for dogs.
Yeah, so that's why I don't understand. So if you have that and that breed is healthier and it matches with the Doberman, well, then you would just breed that and then keep a puppy from that, breed it back to a Doberman. I mean, it would take less time to make a Doberman true again. That makes more sense than what he's saying, because they're trying to do all these breeds. I don't know anything about that breed that K9 was talking about, but that makes more sense. If it's already half Doberman and it's healthier, then why wouldn't you do that? What he's saying doesn't make sense. And this is the problem. So we're all doing this. We're all talking about this because it's to get rid of DCM. He's now talking about structure. He's talking about this. He's talking about that. The Doberman's already a solidified breed. The breed is already there structurally, all that stuff. So if you take this breed and do this, and you already have a breed that is 50-50, the structure's there. You just have to breed true to that breed. Find dogs that are true to the Doberman breed within that breed that's 50% Doberman, 50% Bully, right? Keep dogs from that is healthy. It makes more sense already if you're already breeding that than doing, 6 fucking breeds or 4 breeds, 5 breeds, whatever the fuck the Finnish want to do, and adding in all the other health issues. Boys hounds have been breeding true. Okay, so yeah, so if they look pretty much like a Doberman and they're healthy, right? So if you've already have dogs that already look like Dobermans and they're healthier, then you already have dogs that are already structurally looking like a Doberman, already half Doberman, breeding into another Doberman, keeping dogs from that. Well, then you only, black and tan's a Doberman is a dominant trait. So if you're breeding into a Doberman that's already half Doberman, you should have black and tans out of that. So you keep breeding. Just keep breeding. You can breed it out. Dobermans used to have brindle, and they bred it out because of the boxer.
Dogs for just not being as good as they should be, and whether men or female do that alike, I don't know. But maybe there's more sentimentality with I don't know why, or maybe females are the only ones that really want to risk the dog like getting eggs on their face because they can't perform the way they're supposed to. Because there's just not that many that can do it anymore.
If we're worried about color, then fuck's sake, don't breed the German Shorthair Pointer. You're going to get ticking.
There's been, I think, in the entire existence of KNPV, I think there's been, 3 Dobermans total. Think about that, 120 years. One of them was just a couple of years ago. And one of them was imported here by a Doberman breeder in Tennessee. I worked the dog a fair bit, dog named Nero, trained by a guy named Tino Kleineschars. But it's like, you have to look at the complete dog. There was a time, if you look at the old pictures and the old stuff, and like when I was a kid, my dad's patrol dog was a Doberman.
Right.
My wife, right? She was Norwegian military police. And she worked.
That was a mutt. It was a mutt. It was a Doberman mutt.
Exclusively Doberman. She had a contract with a military. She was in the K9 platoon for a while, and then she was the platoon commander for a while as well. And she had a contract that they would pay her and pay the vet bills and blah, blah, blah. for her dogs, and she would work her own dogs. So she worked only Dobermans.
Okay.
And her Dobermans were able to outwork German Shepherds, Malinois, and stuff like that because they were just really, really good dogs. When a dog can do avalanche searches in minus 45 degrees Celsius for hours on end, when the German Shepherds are starting to seize up and get muscle cramps from the cold, and he's still hunting like an idiot, that's a good working dog.
Mhm.
On top of it, he would also bite people and do crowd control and just go from one to the other and bite them and part crowd fights like the Red Sea. That's a good working Doberman.
Okay.
Right.
It's he found, I think, one of the deepest finds he's had in avalanche was a guy that was over 5 meters under snow.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah, maybe we talked about that last time.
That's a pretty incredible feat, and it's just if the dogs are good, if the Doberman is good. When Dazzy was over here on a temporary visa for a while, and then she had to go back to get a green card and so blah 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 blah. Doesn't matter. She was here for a while, and we went and did a couple of seminars for a ranger regiment. And we had her male along with us. Condor was his name, and he participated in all the stuff that we did with the ranger dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
I'm not trying to give nobody no promotion, but I really want to know since the state of the Doberman where it is now. It's not looking very good.
Nope.
But is there any area in the world that's still like producing some decent stuff?
I would say
Yes.
the highest number of good working Dobermans is still in Germany.
Germany.
That doesn't mean that the numbers are high. It just means the highest number of any
And they still have DCM.
country.
Right. Gotcha.
It's because it's a German breed.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the Schnauzer also.
Okay, working. I'm talking health. If we're doing the whole recreation of the Doberman, everybody wants to recreate a fucking breed these days. If we're recreating the breed because of health, where is the health? He didn't say that. He just said working ability.
That there's one breeder, like this Hanoveto kennel that Michelle bred her dog to, or used to Semen with. She's been very successful. The Czechs have always had some decent workers, but not sort of really top line. But the Czechs were also very kind of like you hear, you know how you always hear about a Czech Shepherd?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's a Czech Shepherd? It's a German Shepherd,
mm-hmm.
right? But the Czechoslovakia was under the same umbrella as East Germany.
Yeah.
So if you look at all the really successful Czech line dogs, they're all DDR dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the blood that made them, right? So that it's not a different breed. But the communist countries with totalitarian governments had government regulations as to how military capable dogs, working dogs, had to be bred. Mm-hmm. And when that disappeared, of course, that regulation disappeared as well. But as a result, during the time when the Russia still ruled all those places, those dogs were really, really good. And when communism fell and the wall came down and all that kind of stuff, a lot of these dogs were available for breeding with the existing population, and they really, really improved the breed. There was, unfortunately, they didn't do that with the Doberman. It would have been a very, very nice sort of like injection of new blood because it had been separated for 50 years, right? Mm-hmm. So the dogs that were bred in the East were genetically not at all related to the West German lines anymore. So it would have, the only dog that was used somewhat and successfully too was a dog named Jago Akatienhof, who was the father of Ivo von Troy, who was then the father. He's the great grandsire of Baron Lechfeld, who was a 2-time German Meister champion in Dobermans. So these dogs were super important, and they weren't used enough because the Doberman of old was a dog that was a little bit. I
didn't mean to distract you with that.
No. They were a little volatile on the bite. Mm-hmm. They didn't bite as full. They bit more defensive. They were vocal, and they did a lot of thrashing. And it comes from the heritage and what breeds are in there and so on. And that made them very incapable of competing with German Shepherds, mm-hmm. right? Because at that time, it was already a sort of 90s, late 80s, 90s, when all that sort of stuff happened. the grips became sort of the be all and the end all in Schutzhund.
Yeah.
Right. Stable grips, calm grips, and the Doberman didn't have that. So they started selecting for those dogs that had it, and they bred a dog that was not as suspicious. They bred a dog that was just sort of who gives a shit type dogs, right? And as a result, they were very competitive in all breed competitions because the grip was calm and so on. The only thing that went away was the grips weren't as fast and intense as they once were, right?
Right.
So that kind of was a price that they paid by doing that. And you see, you know, if you talk to Dobermans, like the one complaint that people always have with the working Doberman is they fall off bites. They fall off the sleeve on the courage test.
Right.
They don't bite down hard enough. So those dogs have to be super, super elevated in drive and frustration for them to really hang on. And the old dogs would get, you know, they get it with the front of the mouth and it would hold on because they bit fast and hard, but that was sort of bred away. So the East German dogs still had a little bit of that volatility of the old Doberman because they didn't care what it looked like. They wanted functional dogs.
Right.
A lot of the dogs that came from the East were frowned upon by the current breeding trend because they didn't have that pretty grip anymore. So all those genetics were lost. Because nobody wanted to breed to them.
Right.
Very successful. I had long discussions with a super successful German Doberman breeder, maybe one of the most successful ever. The guy named Norbert Schmitz from the Weilmühle was his kennel name, and he just figured that they were nervy. They were, for him, they reacted too much. They weren't calm enough on the grip. They were vocal on the grip, so it didn't fit into his bloodline. But some of the dogs that worked from his bloodlines could well use some of that volatility and intensity that comes from within. You know what I mean? That doesn't need to be created outside by the helper.
Right.
And that those mistakes made. It's just like the West German giant Schnauzer was mediocre. It was a mediocre working dog in 1990, right? Back earlier when I was a kid, it was great. It's a good working dog. Something to watch out for. Like, holy shit, there's a Schnauzer. But by the 1980s and 90s, it became sort of a mediocre working dog.
I would like
East
to know,
German,
like, who needs these dogs anymore that he's talking about, though? Like, what? Like, I understand that he still works for the military. He's still creating these dogs for the military. All this stuff. But, like, what home needs these dogs? Again, look how many people, like, how many articles I just put up about, you know, dogs killing kids, dogs killing people, right? If you have a dog that is like this, how many dogs are on the ban list? How many, all this stuff, right? The Doberman was on the ban list. The Doberman was removed from the ban list. You can't even get home insurance with some breeds. Like, what dog is he trying to create or thinks that they should be? And what dog can you live with? Like John Q. Public, not him, because he's creating dogs for the military. So what John Q. Public, because let's face it, since 2020, IQ points on people have diminished. Or I feel, anyway, allegedly. Not saying it's happened, but it could have. But what people literally need the type of dog he's talking about?
Schnauzers were hardcore working dogs because they had to be, because it was required by law.
Right.
So when the
hardcore working
East
dogs were required by law, what?
Dogs were bred to the West dog,
Right.
Core working dogs, in sort of a mediocre working dog. The East German Schnauzers were hardcore working dogs because they had to be, because it was required by law.
Right.
So when the East dogs were bred to the West dogs, of course, there was a huge insurgence of quality Schnauzers. But then they started breeding just like they did before the reunification. And the same thing happened again. So you have the same mediocre dogs. There's still a few good ones, don't get me wrong, but there's, like, as a whole, it was like the Delaware State Police has a big canine unit, right? In the early 90s, the entire canine unit was Schnauzers. There was no other breed there. Their t-shirt, their unit t-shirt was a Schnauzer head.
Right.
And why? Because they got all imports. They got all Schnauzers from overseas.
Yeah.
And they were great police dogs. They were very aggressive and violent, and they were exactly what they wanted. And
violent, and they were exactly what they needed. Okay, they were police dogs. That's great for the police. It's not great for John Q. Public. I mean, look at the blow up of what the one video of people training their dogs did. Right.
Now they don't have Schnauzers anymore. Why? Because the quality of the dogs isn't there.
Gotcha.
And it's because they breed them for dogs that get along, dogs that are not problematic, dogs that are not aggressive, dogs that every Joe Schmo can own and have. And training is sort of, if you feel like it. And every once in a while people have trouble, so then they go see a trainer and whatnot. But the real hardcore dogs are really few and far between. Like even in KNPV, the dogs that were real.
Right. And those dogs can't go into John Q. Public's home like he's just saying. Right. And you don't get, you get a mixed batch, right, when you do a litter. And so if you're a breeder and you get more of security, Leo, military, whatever, and you get more of those puppies, as a breeder, you're going to have to keep those puppies until you find a home or you have a contract with one of those agencies, because you're not going to be able to sell them. So you better be able to keep them. Well, if we're doing raffles and build a puppy and all this shit now to sell the puppies that you even have, you're sure the hell not going to keep puppies that you can't control. Like this whole part don't even make sense to me. They can't even crop and dock their damn dogs over there. Yet he wants dogs that are going to eat people. Come on now.
Kind of nasty that would come up the leash and stuff like that. They're starting to disappear too because nobody wants to handle them anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody wanted to. They got them over here, and they were used to German Shepherds as police dogs. And you can crank on a German Shepherd pretty.
Nobody needs a police dog in their home. You can't even get insurance on your home if you have a police dog. I mean, let's be for real. I mean, let's say the quiet part out loud. You can't have insurance on your home or your apartment. You can't walk your dog. You can't walk down the street. If you send your dog after somebody, you're going to prison. Right. I mean, you think that the article that I put up with the pit bull dog or the Corso that killed those kids that I put up in the comment section, do you think that those parents aren't going to be charged for their kids dying from their dogs? Yet he wants police dogs, military dogs, dogs that are aggressive. This is wild. They don't even allow bamboo sticks. They don't allow shock collars. They don't allow cropping and docking. They have all these rules, yet he wants these type of dogs because they don't make them no more. Right. No, because he lives a military life. He sees, I mean, like, I understand military. I understand that need. That's a niche. That's not John Q. Public. I mean, John Q. Public wants the badass dog. but they can't handle a badass dog, which is why they get put to sleep, which is why they attack people walking down the street, which is why they kill kids, which is why they do all this dumb shit, which is why the pounds are filled up, which is why rescues are taking dogs, which is why the dog fighting pits are being, the other article that I put up, like, this is crazy to me.
Pretty repeatedly without them really caring all that much. Then they got these Malinois, and all of a sudden they were doing the repetitive prong collar corrections, and the dogs just came out the leash.
Yeah.
You're not even allowed to use a prong collar in Europe, I don't think. You can't use a bamboo stick. You can't use, like, half the shit in Europe is banned.
Accumulated so fast into aggression that they would just needed to let that out on somebody. And for a while, like Philadelphia, for I don't know how many years, had banned Malinois completely as a breed in the police department.
Right.
So it's like nobody protects those 10, 11 breeds, and it bugs me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want a dog that's kind of cuddly, and look, the really hard working dogs that I had were cuddly too, with us, with me and my kids and so on. But then somebody couldn't just come in, say hi, and then cuddle on the couch with my dog.
Right.
That would be unthinkable, right?
Yeah.
And they had follow through. They weren't just grumpy and sort of lash out fear biters. They had ass behind them. They meant it, and they were really, really serious. Hey.
Yeah. So and so that's the big thing about it. The general public want the looks, but can't handle those type dogs.
Right.
Period.
Why do they want them? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, if there was a single woman that was like 130, 140 pounds, wanted to buy a Rottweiler, the breeder would look at her and say, not a chance. You know?
Yep.
And it's breeders want to make money, they want to sell dogs, and I would rather give a dog free to somebody who will do right by the dog and accept them for who they are, than make money on somebody who's just going to ruin it all.
Yeah. And then, you know what, though, Armin, I don't know, maybe times have softened a little bit, because we did, when I was coming up.
Yeah, because people don't have the capacity to train the dog. Like Joe just said, is absolutely the truth. They want the look, they want the novelty of owning that breed, but they don't have the capacity, the understanding, the training. They want Fluffy to just be fluffy. They want the Malinois, but they can't handle the Malinois, not a true Malinois. They want the looks and everything of that breed, but they don't want to train it. Nobody wants to train a dog 24/7, but yet they want one. And then when it becomes too much, they just get rid of it, because dogs are exposable now. I mean, it's no different than the black guy that we showed. They got his face bit. You know, he's sitting there, and what does he say? You know, I tried to pet this. You tried to give this son of a bitch some loving, and you know, all I did was pet it 3 times, and it bit my face. Right? So his way to talk to that dog that he supposedly loved was to, like, be a dick to it. Tried to pet it 3 times. Now, and watching his stupid videos, we understand that it was resource guarding. He obviously didn't have the capacity to understand that. But, you know, he puts it up like, you know, he was like loving on this dog. Why his face was down by food, who fucking knows? But he's the idiot. But you're gonna, like, you want these military type dogs, John Q. Public, like that guy who has no idea, and he's like, oh, you know, I'm trying to, you know, give this son of a bitch some love by petting it 3 times. 3 times. He literally says that in the video. Like, that was some, you know, like, the dog should be grateful that he got petted 3 times. I mean, this is the people that you're dealing with. Like I said, like, IQ points have lowered so horribly over the last 6-7 years. But yet we're supposed to give them dogs that are like off the fucking chain crazy. Well, that's the thing is, and then like people are like, oh, I 100%, trust my dog 100%. Well, then you're a fool.
My dad, he wasn't no dog man, but a dog had a purpose.
Mhm.
You didn't have to be an expert to.
Dogs have a purpose. In today's world, what purpose does a dog have? Like, literal today. Look at puppies, how they eat. Right? I don't understand that either. Yeah. Petting on why they eat, doing all this stupid shit. Like, just being dumb. Then it, like, I don't know. But I mean, in all reality, most people get pets because they're accessories, they're the novelty of owning it, doing all this dumb shit. Like, or they, they want the badass, the extension of their penis, all this crazy bullshit. Back in the day, dogs had a purpose. They actually had a job. They did all this shit. In today's world, in the world we live in today, what purpose do most dogs have? In all honesty, it's a real question.
You wanted a dog to do something because we didn't come up in the best neighborhood. Well, it was fine until certain things like crack started hitting. And environment started changing. So you wanted a serious dog in them days. But most people can't handle them. But I do want to ask this. This is going to be my last question because I don't see they have any questions. Big topic on my show, and you talking about these breeds that are so strong, are historically strong. You talked about the bull herder, strong Dobermans. The e-collar is a big topic.
What about it?
With the dogs you have handled, the type of dogs, traditionally, I don't know when the e-collar was developed, maybe in the 80s, somewhere in there. Yeah. Were you guys having to use that more to correct the dog? Because I see they teach a dog different things.
So in answering this question, in all honesty, if your dog is mainly for companionship or to notify you if somebody's around your property or whatever, but mainly companionship, right? My dogs are, like I always say, they're companionship. I love having them. I can't imagine my life without them. All this stuff. And then they also, notify me if somebody's around. I also have 18 cameras, all this shit. I have usually a gun within arm's reach, all this shit, right? Other than that, that's what they're for. They're companions. I love having them. I love working with them. I love training them. I love getting them to do all kinds of tricks and cool shit and all this stuff. But other than that, what are they for? I'm not sending my dog out to kill anyone. That's what all the other shit that I have in my house is for. And that's the truth. And if you think that your dog is there to go unalive somebody, that's sad. If that's the only purpose your dog has, is to unalive somebody, that's really sad. I mean, that's cool. But that's cool. Like, you get to go do things with your dog. I mean, that's the whole companionship. That would be fine. Like, but for the most part, your dog's there to give you company. The dog's there to give you, like, companionship and to notify you if somebody's, like, around your house or going to break in or whatever, or be a deterrent, right? But, like, his whole fucking bullshit of, oh, it's a badass dog. It's like, should threaten you, or like it should challenge you. It should do this. That's crazy. I'm not in the military. I'm not a police officer. Right. That's the truth. It's the fantasy, right? Like I said, it's the novelty of owning it. It's not the truth. I don't live in Narnia.
Thing they use it 100 different ways now. What are your thoughts on the e-collars?
So when the e-collar first came out, My mom had one.
Mhm.
Partly because the Doberman we had at the time after my dad died.
I remember you telling me the dog was strong for your
He
mom.
was super, super hard.
Yeah.
And he was very, very gamey.
Yeah.
Like he would jump the fence and chase deer and just like he needed that kind of distance, especially if he beat you to the yard fence and he jumped over already. And he was, you'd see him running in the field. The deer were ahead of him. And there was no way to get him out of that except for the e-collar.
And this is the truth too. Most of these people that think that they want a badass dog or act like they need a badass dog and all this shit, those dogs live in kennels. Those dogs live in fenced in or chained up on fucking chains and all this shit. They don't live in their fucking house. I would love for all those people that say, oh, I want this badass dog that's going to do all this shit, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to see where they fucking live. If they actually live in their house, roaming free in their house, not fucking crates, not fucking kennels, out in their, backyard, not in fucking little fucking makeshift kennels with little fucking igloos and shit like that, or on fucking logging chains and all that shit. How badass is your fucking dog when it can't even fucking help you? Right. Oh, I know that. I have a lot of canine friends.
It was used in a clumsy way back then. It had its purpose. I think people at that time used it more like a hammer, not a scalpel. Because it was a new tool. And even before the e-collar first came out, Checker was the first collar that came out. It was super, super hot too. Like you brought the probes together, they would arc over.
Whoa.
So yeah, it was a pretty hot collar. And the antenna was a wire with a piece of lead on it that would drop on the ground so that it would transmit to the collar.
Wow.
But neither here nor there. Before then, we used the transformers on the field telephones for the military because they create electricity when you crank them. Right. So those were used for certain things. We had electric mats in the blind in front of the helper. We had electric sleeves. And we had collars with nails with wires that you could also attach to it. And then you have to just go until the dog yodeled. It was very clumsy back then. I didn't like using the e-collar for many years because the only way to adjust stimulation levels was to take the collar off and change the tips on the collar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you put it back on and then now it would be hotter than before. And the procedure of taking it off and putting it back on made the dogs way too collar aware for my taste, so I didn't really like them. And I did very systematic training that I didn't really need it at the time. But looking back, there would have been a lot of things that would have been a hell of a lot easier for me if I had one, a good one like I have now. I'm not a big fan of the e-collar training where the e-collar becomes everything's e-collar. You know what I mean? I mean, it has its purpose, but it's not a. People say that e-collar communicates. Well, what does it say? Well, honestly, I'm asking you. People say it's just a form of communication.
Yeah.
Like the only communication a dog gets is you did wrong. It hurts, right? Now, even if you have it lower, what does it say then? Like you can't have, let's say, on a 4, it means sit. On a 5, it means down. That doesn't work. So you're not really giving the dog a message. It's a stimulation, and the dog associates it with something good or bad. I mean, you can't associate with good things. There's no question about that.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of negative reinforcement.
Oh,
because it's unnecessary in my opinion. There's nothing you can teach with negative reinforcement that you can't teach with positive reinforcement and some physical.
Oh wow, this guy just gets better and better.
Guidance. You don't need to use negative reinforcement. People are playing really fast and loose with the terminology nowadays too. It's like, well, I mean this by that. Well, it doesn't really matter what.
So this guy wants a really strong, badass dog, basically, and doesn't want to teach it anything with negative reinforcement. Awesome.
What you mean? Skinner wrote a book about it, and that's what it means. And if you deviate from that way of applying negative reinforcement, then it's something else. You know what I mean? So long story short, long answer. I like the e-collar. I think it's a very valuable tool in the special ops world that I work in a lot. It's almost an essential tool. It's, it's a way to it's a way to influence the dog silently at a distance when the dog's working independently. And that's essential in my opinion. A dog, what people in the positive only world don't understand, crisis, don't bark in my ear, don't understand is that, say you have a dog that wants to chase rabbits, right? And you can kind of hold him on a leash and then attract attention to you and give him a treat or a toy or whatever. And you can do that long enough until the dog, when he sees a rabbit, he says, I'm not going to get the rabbit anyways. I'm going for the treat. There's lots of dogs that will work that way. There's no question about that. But what we do is we build intensity for something that is so through the roof for them to be able to function and do the job that we bring them for, that in order to stop them, you're not going to have anything that has higher value or equal value of any kind for the dog. And you don't have time for any of that. The dog needs to obey, the dog needs to listen, and the dog needs to be controllable. Now, I'm a very scientific, high finesse trainer when it comes to that. That's why I ended up having the privilege to work in those units, because I'm not a soldier, I'm not a cop, I'm a dog man. And
right.
I'm able to bring certain things to the job that very few people are capable of worldwide. So I use my head and I do a lot of thinking. So we don't use we call it like a club. Most of the time we don't need to use it at all. It's a fail-safe in case the dog is, it just fails. It can happen. In combat, we don't ever know how crazy things can get. And a dog's life may depend on it. And, we have good call-offs, very good call-offs and things like that. But if a guy is, the call-off is usually a guy that's passive or, not super enticing. But if a crazy person comes screaming and running at the team with a bomb on him, you may not be able to call the dog off without having an influence tool.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's definitely, I think it's an essential training tool.
Gotcha. All right. Well, this is the last question, I promise.
It's also.
So what's he do? If he doesn't use negative reinforcement, what's he do?
A lot easier on soft dogs because they can connect it much easier with their own behaviors than anything the handler does to them. So I think it's a very good tool, and it's a very humane tool. People just don't understand it. But that's the thing. My wrap up on the breeding experiment. I hope that the breeds that are listed are only suggestions and not chiseled in stone, and that they consider other breeds and that they consider a wider spectrum other than physical appearance and health improvement. Because if they're going to get rid of the Doberman, like if you want to keep the Doberman, keep the Doberman. If you want to make a healthier version of a black and tan pet that sits on the sofa, just
do whatever.
I mean, to me, that's just such an irrelevant thing. So one of your listeners has a question.
Should registries remove pre-existing dogs and only keep healthy specimens? That's going to be tough.
Do you mean pre-existing dogs that died of a disease?
You talking about Doberman?
Is he talking about dogs that we know have died of a specific disease? Is that what he means by pre-existing?
Should we remove pre-existing dogs? 416 out of Canada, answer that for me right quick. Should registries remove pre-existing dogs? So yeah, he means dogs that has a track record of being carriers. That's what he means. Yeah.
Okay. Well, carriers is VDH, right? And I think you should be flagged.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you will not be able to find a Doberman pedigree that not a single specimen has not had VDH or DCM or something else.
Not true.
You should be made aware of it to make sure that it doesn't double up. You should be made aware of it so it doesn't that's not too close to the breeding itself. But I mean, the Doberman is the Doberman, and I hope that they breed dogs in this experiment that have a certain health record. But like I said, I think that the breeds that they picked are not the best breeds for it. There's better breeds for it. If you want to preserve the whole Doberman, and who's supervising it, who's monitoring it, who's involved, how much publicity is going to be put on this so that other people can give their 2 cents.
I read a study where the reward was the same each time. It's rats in cold one. But in each ever the reward was higher, and then rats expected a higher reward time. Less reliable. Oh, I'll have to read it.
And so on. Like the Finnish Doberman Club is tiny, and it has very, very few working Dobermans, right? It's very, very small. So
Right.
they already have such a small.
Okay, so I see his whole premise here. His whole premise is not to use any show dogs. He only wants working Dobermans to be used. Well, that is going to narrow the gene pool tremendously if he's only using working Dobermans worth the working drive only. Because he keeps saying working. And yeah. So if you're going with just that premise only, where the Doberman's used in this recreation or whatever, if you're only using dogs that have that working title that can only do that working ability, then yes, you're going to limit your gene pool significantly.
Gene pool that they should go outcrossing with maybe other countries first. But I'm not against crossbreeding at all. I just think it needs to be the appropriate breed.
Obviously.
A dog that doesn't change the appearance too much, a dog that doesn't change temperament too much, a dog that doesn't have a great history of the health issues that the Doberman has, or introduce new health issues. So
yeah, gotcha. Well, guys, Armin Winkler, he's back. He's did a live video with us. I appreciate it. Here's his website. And also, all you got to do is Google him. He has plenty of articles and different things like that.
All the articles are on my website.
Yeah, okay. The articles are right here on the website.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give him a break, but I want to come back again because we can talk about the giant Schnauzer, and then we can do a show with you and your wife, which she's a heck of a trainer, and y'all did all these different things. I have a lot of guys who are interested in security, so they really like doing these shows, and we just really thank you for your time, Mr. Winkler.
Okay, I appreciate being on and giving my 2 cents.
Yes,
I've been around the working dog world for a long time, and the working breeds are very dear to my heart. All of them really. I've had Dobermans, Airedales, Schnauzers, Malinois mixes.
Mixes.
I've never had a German Shepherd. Doesn't interest me that much. And I love working boxers, but I'm not sure if they're the dog for me to have. Hoverbart's too hairy, but I've had about all the other ones. I love the Airedales. And there's some good kennels still that use a lot of East blood for breeding. But I think stabilizing of a breed requires a lot of thought and a lot of participants to do it right. Mm-hmm. And feedback to make sure that it's done right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if they can use the breeds that they listed and eradicate the health problems, but then the temperament of the Doberman is so altered that you don't even recognize them anymore. The other thing that you have to consider that people very often don't, completely non-suspicious dogs, like pointers and setters and dogs like that. If you breed it to a breed like the Doberman that has genetically suspicion, not every specimen shows it, but it's in the breed, it becomes a real, there's going to be some dogs that are so out of their element, they don't even know what to do with the world.
Yeah.
Because they have that sociability and that I'm not allowed to bite thing that's genetic, that comes from, pointers and dogs like that. And then you have that feeling that's a stranger and they can't deal with them. And they're not going to just be social. You're
going to make them crazy. And then you're going to make fear, anxiety-ridden dogs.
It'll be really weird and want to head for the hills. And there's all kinds of weird problems that come from mixes like that. So I would stick to dogs that have similar temperaments and similar purpose in their history so that you don't go too far astray.
That's facts, because I kind of look at that mixture, the proposed mixture, and I see a very barking dog. Wow, that dog gonna bark like crazy.
You may get that from a Schnauzer too, as well, especially if you use Axe genetics.
Oh, really?
Because he was a pretty yappy dog, but he was a good dog.
Right.
It's just like I said, the experiment of German Pinscher and standard Schnauzer exists. It was done in Sweden in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
You can look it up. I can see if I can dig that issue of the Schnauzer magazine out yet, but I think you can Google it and find it. So there is a model for this, and it was very successful. All the reports afterwards were very successful. I'll
be right back.
I think that the giant Schnauzer is a pretty healthy breed. Still, it's healthier than the Doberman by far. And like I said, with some of the old genetics that Michelle just brought back into the population, I think that would be an even bigger outcross for the Doberman with a anatomical similarity and a temperament similarity, and I think it would make more sense to me than the breeds that they've selected so far. And like I said, maybe they're not chiseled in stone and they're open to suggestion and input. I hope they are.
Yeah, you and Lance Woodley talk very highly of Michelle's breeding dogs over there. Michelle, you holding the key over there? So,
I mean, hey, stop it. She had a very nice dog that she got through an importer that came with problems that came from early training in Europe already and made worse by some other training here. Yeah. He was one of the best schnauzers in the country at that time, with mine and hers, and there's a few others here. And there was probably contemporarily in Germany, there probably were better specimens, but they didn't save any semen. They didn't, because it's not allowed there anyways to use frozen stuff. So that there was a lot of really exceptional specimen dogs in all breeds that were lost because it wasn't allowed to use frozen semen. The lady in Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic now probably didn't have that restriction there, so she was able to do that breeding with frozen semen. So she has a really good working kennel that has her merit by her own right. Hey, enough! And she put an exceptional dog from years gone by into that. So I watch these dogs with interest whenever I get a chance to see clips posted of them. And it reminds me of the old days when schnauzers were hammers. Right. And it's unfortunate that it's only just one thing, but I think it should be taken advantage of.
She said everyone thought I was crazy to save Axe semen.
Well, I mean, I tried a breeding with Axe and a female we had myself. It was just that she's scared of him and he didn't want to. So, but I didn't, I think dogs like that have value, and they have their flaws. They have, like, Axe's barking is definitely a thing. And, the one dog in Germany that I get to see videos of every once in a while, that handler is a very accomplished trainer. And you can see that he controls that barking, because if he gave him this much space to bubble over, that dog would just bubble and boil over. So it is the only sort of breeding of its kind that really exists. A 30-year-old specimen that was a good quality working dog and anatomically very impressive also. To have that there's going to be a lot of people that look at that regret not doing it. I certainly regret not saving some of my own dogs.
Right.
By the time I thought of it, they were too old, or like it's just you always wait. I did a couple of breedings with one of mine. It was just an absolute crushing dog. But I did 2 litters with him with 2 different females, and both of the females were good, accomplished, titled dogs. And so,
if she still has the semen, I don't understand not shipping his semen in. He was like, well, the bitch didn't like the dog or the whatever. You can still use his semen if she has his semen available. Use, like, he acts like this is like such a nuanced thing, like, whatever. I don't know.
Solid genetics, but neither litter turned out not even okay. They just didn't turn out
right,
as far as I'm concerned. Right. And so I don't know if with another female it would have worked out differently. Right. But when something like this is possible, and
I do the same thing. I'm hardly ever serious. Well, serious about this, but I make jokes all the time too. Very sarcastic.
It worked really well for Michelle and Axe. I think it's a great thing.
I wouldn't breed to a barking dog. If the dog barked incessantly, I can't stand a barking dog. Like, somebody just dropped off a package here, and as you can hear, my dogs barked, but like I can stop them immediately. I can't stand a yapping dog. That would drive me nuts. Yeah, maybe they can't ship in semen. But see, that's another thing too. Like, that would be weird. Like, it's not the you're not shipping in the dog, you're shipping in semen. I don't know. I haven't bred in, well, Maze is going to be 6 in July, so I haven't shipped in semen a minimum in 6 years. So maybe a lot of laws have changed.
And I think hopefully people are saving, like the guy that had Big Roy. He saved Big Roy. There's new Big Roy puppies on the ground.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So he made a smart move on that, because he was a very influential dog. some of his traits may not be everybody's cup of tea. I certainly don't like the size, but he doesn't always produce that size. So it's, hindsight sometimes is great, but.
Oh, I wouldn't own a Jack Russell Terrier if somebody paid me. If somebody gave me a Jack Russell Terrier, I would be like, no thanks. If they dropped it off of my house, I'd be like, somebody come get it. I cannot stand a yappy dog, period. I teach all my dogs to bark right away. Because if you teach a dog to bark, you can teach them to shut up.
Maybe Michelle had foresight, or she was sentimental, and then she tried something out that worked out extremely well. It's just when you see it working, then you kind of go like, this is something, it shows that if you watch those dogs work, they work like the dogs from the past.
Right.
And that's an exceptional thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, sir. Well, it's been a good time. I sure do appreciate it. I got it. Like I tell you, man, my audience is it's more the student mindset. So bridging that gap for us, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Winkler.
Glad to share my thoughts. So.
All right, we definitely gonna have you back.
Thoughts. They're just well, it could happen. I'm not saying necessarily it happened. It may not have happened. Allegedly it happened. Maybe it could have happened. Might have been hippopotamuses. I'm not really sure. It could have been alligators or elephants or nothing.
Because I want to talk about Schnauzer.
Okay.
All right, everybody have a good evening.
Yep, you too.
All right.
Step.
This car. D-car says this, right? It's wild. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. That's wild to me. I don't really understand his take. But Allopotamus. Right? Oh, Jesus. So yeah, that's all I have. But yeah, it's that's my thoughts on it. It goes crazy. I'm not really sure. D-cars. There we go. It'll be trademark. Yeah, you should trademark it now. I haven't seen anything else that was crazy, except all the other shit that I already posted. Are dog parks safe? No, dog parks aren't safe. I wouldn't take my dog to a dog park to save my life. Oh, did you guys see this guy? This guy. He did that thing. This. Did you guys see this? Did you see Living with Bullies? He had a video a couple days ago. No. Where? Okay, hang on. I'll look for it while you watch this.
Challenge, but before things get crazy, let me introduce you to the guys that are going to be helping me try to survive this challenge. First up, Mr. Ian Donovan, a retired Special Forces Green Beret and all-around certified badass.
Hey guys, my name's Ian, and I'm a national channel manager for Kinetic Performance Dog Food.
And then we've got Short Shorts Tony.
We brought Tony along for those lower obstacles. You know, he has a way of just, I don't know, fitting under things. So
We're good at fitting in tubes.
yeah, in fitting. My name's Tony.
and we're going to try to run this and not die.
I'm not sure if all 5'6" and 135 pounds soaking wet Tony is going to actually be able to do much to move my fat ass around or help me with Thanos, who almost weighs more than Tony. But no, seriously, all jokes aside, I'll take any help I can get. And Tony is a phenomenal trainer, and he's also a cardio machine. So, like I said, whatever help I can get, I will take.
I'm going to have to carry Garrett at some point in this race, and so I'm really preparing. I didn't work out legs for the last 3 days, so I wouldn't be sore, because he's what are you, like 350 now?
This is a phenomenal course, man. It's pretty challenging, and people are going to see that challenge today. Some people are up for it. Some people need to work on things, but they put a really good course together. It's a lot of fun, and we'll be running it today.
Now, Ian was really smart when it came to dog selection. He's got several dogs at home to choose from, and no doubt he went with the wisest choice, a Belgian Malinois, Miss Davila, who maybe weighs a total of 50 pounds, whereas my dumbass decided it'd be a good idea to get through this obstacle course with Thanos, who on a good day is 120 plus pounds of lean, mean Italian machine. And boy, I was going to pay for it.
It's been over 2 years since Thanos and I used to do our daily runs. We would talk about out of shape. Thanos is a couch potato. So now if this was a snoozing competition, you're talking about first place. So
Thanos, you're a bum. Get off the couch and get a job. This is your replacement. Right here. Wake up. We got to run a marathon. He's even opening his eyes. Can you? Come on, buddy.
Thankfully, though, this is a kinetic performance dog food event, and kinetic dog food gives Thanos all of the energy he needs to survive anything. But more on that later, because this race starts in 3, 2, 1. The start of this race was just a little taste test of what was to come over the next 4.5 miles. We're talking about jumping into water, swimming tight spaces, really, really difficult challenges.
Yeah, that dog, like, it's big. This one, yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to, hang on, let me see, share this one. Okay, so which one was it? This one? That was 22 hours ago, or the day one ago, this one. There's the puppy. No one, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, dude. Hang on, this one's almost over. It's not that long.
Bust your ass, break an ankle, or completely knock yourself out. But the first test is already here. It's a long, dark, wet tunnel that we have to crawl through. And I got to tell you, we've never prepared for this. And I don't know who should go first, me or the dog. Let's figure it out.
The dog's like, no.
Now, this is the first time Thanos has shown any hesitation. We got him in the tunnel, but he wasn't quite sure what to do. So figured, pull him out, let me go first. And this is where obedience absolutely comes into play. We don't need the dog freaking out. This is basically a game of follow the leader. Come on. Good boy. So Thanos figured out the tunnels really quick. However, I grew to hate them really fast. Crawling on your hands and knees on concrete with rocks and pebbles and water and all kinds of freaky things crawling inside those dark tunnels. Not my favorite thing. Note to self, next time, bring knee pads.
These suck.
I mean, in all honesty, this is kind of cool doing this. I would do this with my dogs. It is kind of cool that he is doing this.
It's just going to be neck deep for me.
I don't know how many of these things we went through, but I got to tell you, when you're presented with a large tunnel and a small tunnel, I'm going to choose the large tunnel every time. But for whatever reason, Ian chose the small tunnel, and watch him come plopping out of this thing.
Yeah, Ian coming out too.
Hope you picked a big one.
You took the smaller one?
Ian, you picked the small one? What is this? Ian went for the small one again.
Ian likes the challenge.
There you go, breathe in. Breathe in, breathe in. You can do this, breathe in. There you go, glory, glory.
Thank you, Axel.
There you go, there you go. Let's go, buddy.
We're out of the creek and into the jungle, baby, where things only got worse. Jumping over wall after wall, traversing waterways with slippery-ass moss, and trying not to get Thanos taken out by any of the sharp, rocks hiding under the water surface. But the good news is we were close to our first checkpoint, so close, in fact, you could almost taste it. Speaking of taste, crawling through these tunnels, you get to taste mud in your mouth every time.
Come on, Big'em. Good boy.
Finally reaching the first checkpoint and realizing we're only about half mile into the 4.5 mile long race, I started to ask myself, Garrett, what in the hell were you thinking when you signed up for this? But the good news was the dogs were performing wonderfully, and it's no surprise because they're fueled by Kinetic Performance dog food. Speaking of,
From jumping out of helicopters on military operations to stateside with Kinetic Performance dog food today.
all right, we're getting ready to get into some of the more technical stuff, the more difficult stuff. Pan around, you can show them the wall of death. All right, the good news is this wall of death was actually not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. The bad news is this was barely an appetizer as to what was going to come when it comes to climbing up and down things. Now, after we conquered the wall of death, it seems like we're back in the mud pit baths. And as you can see, the fatigue's already starting to set in as I'm slipping and falling on what's seemingly no obstacle whatsoever. Now, if things weren't already hard enough, Thanos was there to make sure he made this even more difficult than it needed to be. For whatever reason, he was not feeling this particular exercise. I don't know if it was depth perception or what, but it doesn't leave a lot of room for them to swim underneath and yet keep their head above water.
Thanos, let's go. Here, no, here, no. Come. Come on. Let's go, big boy. Come on. Come on.
That's pretty cool.
Made that a lot more difficult than it needed to be.
And of course, we didn't just have one mud bath that we had to crawl through, but we had 3 back-to-back. Between jumping over cars and crawling through mud pits, we were getting smoked. Speaking of getting smoked,
Edit that part out. Edit that part out where the girl is smoking me and Ian. It's called motivation. Careful, careful, yeah? Careful, Tony.
Got it. We're good.
Oh. All right, Ian. Feel like a Green Beret in the jungles of Nam.
In the jungles of Nam.
In the jungles of Nam.
and yeah, you heard that right. After all of that, we're not even halfway through this fucker, and the worst is yet to come.
These things.
More of them, sir.
I go where Thanos wants to go. You know what I'm saying? He ain't stupid.
Now, it'd been a while since our last checkpoint and water break, and I was getting concerned with Thanos' black coat in this Alabama heat that we were going to have a situation with Thanos overheating and stroking out, which is the last thing I would ever want. And so we called in our wild card, Spider with the water truck.
Spider, come up here, bro. Pull up. I just want to give you some water.
Now, after the much-needed water break, it was back into the woods, which I was looking forward to the shade, but little did I know this is actually the most technical and treacherous part of the entire obstacle course, where you had to traverse up and down countless hills and watch out for the rocks and roots that were waiting on every turn trying to trip you up. And it was all you could do not to fall, break your face, break your neck, skin up your knees, and of course, the entire time, you got to worry about your dog and make sure that they don't hurt themselves going up or down any of these hills. Speaking of breaking necks, me and Tony both almost bust our ass on this one.
I did that intentionally. Don't worry about it.
They look good. They look good.
All right, so seems like we're nearing the end because we can hear music. Feels like we're near the end, but Ian, what's the truth?
So, man, there's no military guy who put this together for us, right? They want you to think that you're close to the end. You can hear the end, you can see the end, you can smell the end, you can taste the end.
We're so close.
So close, everyone's so excited. And then you got a quarter mile left or a mile left after that.
So we're going to get right up to the finish line, but we're actually going to pass and keep going before we circle back, and then there'll be the finish line. So onwards and upwards, man. Show them. You got to go up this damn mountain.
I'm walking this backwards.
Is this the one? This is the one.
The devil's asshole.
This is a mother right here, yeah. All right.
Going up the devil's asshole had to be the most difficult part of the challenge. It seemed never ending, and anyone and everyone around me, nobody made it up in one shot. Everyone had to stop and at least take a few breaks trying to get up this son of a gun.
How you feeling, sir?
Ooh, hurting, bro. Halfway's up. The devil's ass crack. Yeah.
How you feeling, sir?
Living, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Tony, you good? You good?
All good. Thank you. Safe and careful.
And after what felt like forever, we finally made it to the top of the devil's asshole.
I'm going to show you the difference between a 120 plus pound Corso. He's ready to take a nap, right? He's done.
What's that?
Except we're not done. And then this Malinois right here.
Hot as shit for me.
She's just ready to go. She's just fresh as can be. Look at this, fresh.
Good.
Ian, tell us about her. We haven't met her yet.
Yeah, so this is the Villa. She's just over a year old, little Belgian Malinois, French bloodline. We're doing some bite work with her, a little bit of protection stuff, but she's just a family dog, and she's really, really super calm, environmentally sound, and doesn't know what we're doing out here, but she can do whatever you.
Yeah, man, like nothing. Nothing's been a challenge for her yet.
No, she's in great shape.
Did it go into your pee hole? Those things are nasty.
Keeps me in better shape. So.
Who are we here with?
My name's Quentin Ruby.
And then talk to us about her.
This is Kat, man. This is my girl. Found her on the side of the road, jumped in my car. She's been my best friend ever since.
And she's 3 legs now.
Yeah. She had cancer about a year ago. She never slowed down.
How old is she now?
My best guess, about 6.
6 years old, 3 legs, and just trucked. We were behind her the whole time, watching her make it up, man. She's tough cookie here.
Yeah.
So cool, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to lift her over some of the stuff, but her and I were in it together. You don't leave them behind, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
The only thing we're leaving behind is this last checkpoint because it's time to get moving. At least that's what we all thought, but Thanos had other plans.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Look, come on. We're going, bro. Let's go. Thanos, come on, buddy. I know. Come on, Bigum. Come on. I know.
Now here it was.
I bet it's hard on his back legs. Do you see how cowhocked he is? Oh.
It's the final stretch where there was only 2 killer obstacles left. But before we could get there, I had to get down this hill without busting my ass and face planting on a rock. And I gotta say, after everything we'd endured, Thanos absolutely pulled through. What an absolute stud. And let me tell you, obedience came in critical, was absolutely clutch on some of these more technical obstacles where I was able to get down safely and then call him when I was ready.
Come on, Bubba. You got it, big boy. Come on.
Now, this drop off into the water doesn't look like much, but to dogs, it looks like the abyss because their depth perception is really bad and they can't tell how deep that water is. So it requires a ton of trust for your dog to make that leap of faith. I was so proud of Thanos making it to this point, and I could finally see the finish line from here. But there was one final obstacle that I had no idea if we were going to be able to get through it or not.
No way.
But after seeing Ian overcome it, I had to at least give it a shot.
You could try to do it. Oh, yeah. Someone to break your fucking ankle or something.
However, this turned out to be a really bad idea because it wasn't an issue of strength. It's an issue of balance because your boy here, I don't think I could get through this obstacle even if I wasn't dangling 120 pounds over my shoulder. I just have zero balance whatsoever. And so this is the result.
Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm coming down.
Yeah, we can pretend that never happened. In the end, after many challenges and a couple of close calls, we were able to successfully complete the world's toughest dog obstacle course.
Good to see that represents the team.
I don't think you had a great white in your peel. I'm saying, shut up. I don't believe anything you say.
All right, folks, we came, we saw, we conquered. We might not have got first place, but we definitely finished strong. Big thank you to Ian for being that motivation along the way. Retired Green Beret. I had to stick with him. Ian, what was the hardest thing on the course?
Well, I think it's just being a broken down old guy. You know what I mean? It's got injuries that you're dealing with, but that's what gets you out of bed every day, man. Just always having a challenge, doing something that's difficult.
Again, it's less about getting through in a good time. It's getting through unscathed. Tony, what was the toughest for you?
The rocks in the water for sure. Twist an ankle way too easily.
What killed me was the devil's asshole. Not part 1, part 2, and part 3, man. It was really tough, but we made it through. It's another final big thank you to Kinetic Performance Dog Food for hosting us. Brand new formulation core in development with us. We help formulate it for folks just like you with your pet dogs at home. Whether you want to compete in something like this or you just want your dog to be the best that it can be, check out Kinetic Performance Dog Food.
Well, that was really cool. I got handed to him. That was pretty cool. couldn't hold down water or food. Oh, wow. That's crazy. All right, so he took down that video, you said? Oops. Let's see. Okay. All right, well, I think that's it for today. I'll come back. Oops, close that one out. I'll probably do one maybe Saturday or Sunday. And if there's anything, if you guys see anything that you want me to react to, drop it in the comments and let me know. But I think that's all I'm going to react to today. But thank you for joining me. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Until next time.
Man, club just a system, but the deck's set to fail. You speak for transparency, they call it a crime. Next day, you suspended for 6 months of your time. Pedigree, politics, trophies on the wall. Vanity awards while the ethics take a fall. They say it's for the free, but we know what it is. Power in the club, how silence in the pit. Pedigree, politics, ribbons and lies. Smiles at the banquet, but the truth in disguise. You can muzzle the voice, but the truth don't crit. Dog show, kingdom built on counterfeit grit.